Welcome to another edition of Masks, Mats, and Mayhem. I'm your host, Justin Harvey. You can find me on Twitter at JustinHarvey75. No longer the Outlaw LA Red this week because I'm trying to get one of those little verified check marks. So I switched my name back. That was crazy. We tried something new there with the intro. I don't know if it worked completely, but hopefully it did. Byron, did that work?
I think it worked for me. I was happy with it.
Okay, so you actually heard the music and everything. Trying some new audio stuff too.
To be fair, I wasn't watching. I was headbanging. So
and I apologize to everyone that we're a couple minutes behind schedule here because I was messing with some new stuff and restarts, and of course Byron can't figure out how to plug in a microphone. So anyway, that's at Byron Fever.
I guess can't figure out how to turn it on.
You can't figure out what?
How to turn a microphone on.
You can't figure out how to turn a microphone?
No, I can't.
You can figure out how to film a scene and a building crumbling around you, but you can't figure out how to turn on a microphone.
Yeah. I think from the El Rey promos that you saw yesterday, we all know Byron can't turn on a microphone.
Yeah.
What's up, Lucha Gringo? Or at Lucha Gringo? Is that who you are?
Yeah, dude, I've been sick for like a week. I'm feeling all right now, sort of.
You made it sound so much worse. You look fine. You're fine. You're doing good.
That's just because I always look like shit, bro. It's like
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
I know you meant it.
Go ahead. And we are joined today by none other than Carmen Perez from the El Rey Network's Lucha Underground. How's it going, Carmen?
5-0.
I am great. Great.
Yeah,
excited to be here with you guys. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn your microphone up just a little bit here, though.
Oh.
There we go.
Yeah. I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us and talking some Lucha Underground and all that fun stuff.
I'm excited.
I apologize in advance for however sideways or ridiculous this gets, even though it probably won't.
We did 20 minutes on He-Man last week. He's not kidding.
Awesome. He-Man. He's got the power. How about She-Ra?
Hey, she's on Netflix too. They put them both up. So.
Really? Oh, how cool. Cool.
I don't know if we got to She-Ra yet. Wait, did you paint that painting back there behind you, Carmen?
I did. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, that's awesome.
I had to put it there. I'm sorry. I had to show off my little painting here.
Oh, of course. Who doesn't come on a show and plug a little bit of what they do? And believe me, people, if you're listening to this, Carmen is way more than just what you see on television. She does a lot of stuff. Like I thought I was semi-multi-talented. She's actually multi-talented. And we'll get into that. But, I want to go back and kind of where I'm going to start with you is I want to go back to Evie Dub first telling us about you. And this is when you were just taping. I don't even think you had been on TV yet. And he was like, oh, we got some great characters, guys. Like, like what Evie Dub will do is when we're at the Lucha Underground show, sometimes he'll come out and he'll talk to a few of us. And Byron and I, especially being TV people, and Casey, being a screenwriter and being, interested in just about everything. Like we're the ones that are always like, oh yeah, this guy is going to tell us something about the show or something cool. One day he comes out and he's just like, oh, you guys, you're going to love some of this stuff we got going on with Joey Ryan. And we brought in this girl. She's really awesome. And you guys are going to love her and blah, blah, blah. And, I'll start tweeting about her when we get closer to the episodes. So we knew you were coming for a while.
Oh.
And he was over the moon about you. So that was where we first heard about you. And then the first or second episode you were on, we were doing this as an audio podcast back then.
Okay.
And I completely forgot your character's name. Completely. And Byron just sold me down the river, knew the whole time, wouldn't say it for me. So I ended up calling you Captain Hotness through the whole podcast.
Oh no, and then did we just lose Justin?
No, he's there.
No, I'm still.
That's a great nickname, by the way. I love it.
Not bad.
Well, it caught on pretty fast too, and I think Mil Machetes even used it a couple times, and a couple of guys. And Mil Machetes made sure that I have to tell you hi from him because
I saw that. Hi, Mil.
He's out there somewhere.
It got a little weird when he started talking about Councilman Sexy, though. That was kind of weird.
Councilman Sexy.
Are you kidding me? Lorenzo Lamas, that's a good looking dude. I ain't afraid to say it. Lorenzo's a good looking
dude. He's very handsome, man.
He's very handsome and so nice. He's so nice too. Like he's like, you just imagine him being just I'm so handsome, but he just had a great personality too. It's really
And
cool.
he was the renegade. Come on.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just happy that he keeps showing up too. It's like, you know, from the way EV Dub kind of told us about it at first, it was like, yeah, you know, Lorenzo broed me out and did a favor. Like, so I don't think any of us were ever expecting to see him more than once.
Right.
And he keeps showing up. And how many scenes have you gotten to do with him?
I only did one. I only did one so far.
Just the one where he pops his head in the office, right?
He shows up in the office and makes me feel small. He's like the only person that made me feel a little bit small on the show. Yeah.
Well, he is by all means a very huge and talented actor that's been around forever.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a magic amulet though, so whatever. You know.
I know. Exactly.
As far as we know, he could have like 10. Like he's a mystery right now, which is
he is.
Like we're always waiting for the other shoe to drop and like half of the people in your storyline to get killed.
Yeah. Ooh.
I never know who's going to die on this show anymore. Like, who thought that we were going to be watching a wrestling show in this day and age where you don't know who's going to die next? Like, how strange is that?
Yeah, that is not normal.
It's not normal, and then you don't know who's going to come back to life. That's even more not normal.
That's true. Who's going to come back to life? Who's going to become another person altogether?
Yep. Isn't it awesome?
Skeleton's going to start turning into a walking chessboard. You never know.
The magic of TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is the magic of TV, which is part of why we love it. Byron, what are you reading? You look very like intense.
No, I have you guys over here. I have the YouTube over here.
Oh.
And then in the middle are it's the YouTube chat room in case questions come up. Right now it's mostly curse words towards Casey, people typing Captain Hotness, and someone wrote Andre Nichols wrote, nobody puts Captain Hotness in the corner.
Ooh, I love it.
That's it.
I love it.
This is a new person. I have no idea who. The only Andre I know is Andre the Giant. So this can be a completely new person watching the show.
Respect to the Giant.
Well,
yes.
I want to know.
I want to know what's going to happen with the amulet.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get to more Lucha Underground.
Don't ask for spoilers.
No, I just want to know when we're gonna find something new out. Whatever.
Oh man, you're
probably when the show comes
Hey,
back.
I was just as surprised as you were, but we can talk about it later. It's okay.
Okay, so before we go too far down the rabbit hole with Carmen, I do have to take a brief somber moment. I lost a good friend this week who was a camera operator that I worked with on several of the shows that I produced on and worked on. Steve Snapper Robinson. Great dude, just one of those nice all-around guys. And I hate starting the show off with these sad things because we lost way too many people in 2016.
Yeah.
And also Mary Tyler Moore this week, which, believe it or not, when I was doing comedy writing, had been a huge influence on me, not even because of Mary Tyler Moore show, but because of Dick Van Dyke show. One of the big inspirations for me as a writer of what comedy is. Like, you go back and watch it now, it's all cliches, but they're cliches because those guys did them first and everybody else had to copy it afterwards because it was so brilliant at the time. And, you know, she also did.
Are you guys familiar with Mary Tyler Moore's wrestling connection?
No. What's
Was
that?
she gonna wrestle Jerry Lawler?
What?
Okay, so she's a fan. She was a fan, and she was at WrestleMania 6 in the audience for Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, right? And they kind of involved her a little bit because Jake the Snake was fighting the $1 Million Man and beat him and stole his money, and he gave her a $100 bill in the audience, and, you know, Jesse Ventura's like she needs it, you know, making fun of it. But then, and I don't think this is on the version that you can watch that WWE puts on video now, but when I was a kid, I had the tape of the pay-per-view off of TV. So it wasn't like the official video release. And they decided to interview Mary Tyler Moore in the audience, and they didn't coach her first. So the first thing she says is, "I love it here. It's the best combination of athletics and theatrics." And you can see the interviewer just go,
"Oh, kayfabe, what are you doing, Mary?"
Yeah. Oh, you don't. No. Especially back then, you can't say that. Come on.
It's real.
But she's such a nice lady. No one was mad at her, you know. And it's like everyone from the Dick Van Dyke Show is supposed to be awesome. And it's like, I'm glad Dick Van Dyke's still with us. He's awesome. I sold him a monster costume once.
Yeah,
it was pretty
is
great.
he still with us? He's like 7,000 years old.
Dude loves Halloween, man. When I used to work at Halloween Town, he would come in every year.
Really? He probably still dresses up.
Yeah. He wanted to try on, like, there's this giant monster costume that's got like a foot tall extra head and long arms, and he wanted to wear that. And my friend told me this, and I'm like, oh, I hope that thing doesn't end up his coffin or something. Like, put it on him easily. Just be careful. He's a national treasure.
Well, so rest in peace to my friend Snapper, to Mary Tyler Moore. Again, and I hope it's a long, long time before we have to start any more shows like that. Now we can get to the fun stuff, because people want to know who Carmen is. Like, you know, you're this actress that popped up on a show that all of us love, and I'm sure that you have plenty of fans from a lot of the other stuff that you do that we're totally going to get into as well. But like, give us the basics. Like, where'd you come from? I know that you're Puerto Rican, right? You're not Mexican. You're actually Puerto Rican, right? You lived in Puerto Rico?
Yeah. I was born in the Bronx, and when I was in the Boogie Down Bronx, and then when I was 10 years old, my parents split up. So my mom took me with her to my grandma's house to Puerto Rico when I was 10 years old, and then I grew up in Puerto Rico pretty much the rest of my life till I was 17.
Oh, so you like did high school and everything there.
In Puerto Rico, yeah. And I joined the army from Puerto Rico.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, but you got to tell me, like, going from the Bronx to Puerto Rico, that's a pretty big jump. I mean, that's like a whole different culture reality, isn't it?
It totally is, especially when you're like in the city in the Bronx and in the projects, and then you go to Puerto Rico in the little barrio where the houses are tiny and the streets are small, and it goes from like big city to like little barrio in Puerto Rico, and it was completely different. But we used to go visit a lot. We used to visit Puerto Rico. We used to visit my grandma a lot. So I always used to remember and always used to look forward to seeing my grandma, because I loved her. Like, I was crazy about her. So every time we would go, it's like, oh, we're going to see grandma, you know? So
you had to be the coolest kid in Puerto Rico, though, coming from New York, right?
You know what's funny? In Puerto Rico, when you come from the States, even if you're Puerto Rican, they call you la gringa. So they were like, oh, there's that gringa, you know? And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, so it's just funny. I don't know if they still do that, but I remember when I moved there, at first I was originally called la gringa. It's like,
yeah, to get your street cred.
yeah.
Believe me, I understand that. I don't get full credit for anything being mixed, racially myself. It's like I walk into a room with black dudes and I'm the light-skinned guy. I walk into a room with white dudes, I'm the black guy. It's like I can't win.
And then you look Puerto Rican too, so it's like I'm sure you've gotten that as well.
Yeah, I lived in Orlando for a while, and boy, I was at I was at Disneyland Pleasure Island when they had like that island of bars.
Yeah.
And I went to a Big Pun concert, and it wasn't even a big deal because I had a girlfriend at the time, but like the four hottest Puerto Rican girls in the universe came up and started talking to me in Spanish. And like it just kept going and were like chatting me up, and I'm like just shaking my head. And then
see.
And then my boy like just hits me on the shoulder and he's just like, no habla español, and points at me, and I'm just like, and the girl's just like, oh, that's a shame because you were cute, and just walked away. And I was like,
oh.
You had 20 minutes of stuff to say in Spanish, but nothing to say in English, huh?
Oh.
But yeah, I definitely I would get the Puerto Rican thing a lot. Like I don't get Mexican too much, but definitely a lot of people in Orlando and even in Cleveland and New York would think I was Puerto Rican all the time. But
right.
You do kind of look like Sabio Vega with less forehead scars, Justin.
Oh, thank you. I don't blade enough.
Yeah.
Wait, so you said you went directly into the army at 17? How do you go into the army at 17? Don't you have to be 18?
No. Well, I graduated from high school when I was 17, and my mom had to sign for me. So.
Oh.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to join. Like I used to have a job in high school, and I used to walk by the Army recruiting office every day, and that's how I just kind of took the test without telling her. And then I told her I did it, and they were calling her, of course, and wanting me to join, and she signed for it. She wanted me to do it. So I mean, she actually was okay with it.
Now, so you said you wanted to do it, but was it for the opportunities? Was it patriotism? Like, what was the catalyst for you personally to want to do something like that?
It's like it was a combination of all of it, because we didn't grow up. We grew up on welfare. We didn't have a lot of money. We were on food stamps, and my mom. It was just me, and then my brother, and my sister. They were little babies when I joined, and I just, nobody in my family at the time had been to college, and I didn't really, the school system, at least in the school I went to, they didn't have advisors to tell you how to join school, go to college. And I just thought, okay, if I join the Army, I can go to college, I get to travel, and I can figure out what I want to do with my life then. And yeah. I guess that was, I also wanted to be a part of, serving the country, and yeah.
Well, clearly it worked. I mean, it definitely wasn't a bad idea, because it seems to have gotten you to the places you were trying to get to. It got you into college, and it got you, pretty well established for yourself. Now, while you were in the Army, though, did you just stay like a private? Did you get moved up? Did you get stationed?
Stay a private? What?
That's what I'm saying. Come on, we know you got bigger aspirations than that.
Who are you talking to here? No, I became a sergeant. So I was.
Oh shit, sergeant hotness then.
Sergeant hotness. I know. I know. It's funny, but I was a sergeant. I was sergeant when I was 21 years old. I turned sergeant, and
that's solid. I mean, that's a couple years, then moving right on up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty hardcore. I'm pretty hardcore when I get into something. I kind of just go for it. And
did you ever think of becoming an officer? Or
I did. I actually thought, that's funny that you say that. I was thinking of going to OCS and applying for OCS, and you go to school while you're doing OC, or you do 2 months of OCS, which is officer candidate school, if you're enlisted, and then you can take the college classes. Because I was taking college classes the whole time I was in the Army. I was in for 6 years, and I was taking night classes. So that's how I had like already 2 years of college classes when I got out, or 2.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's solid.
Where did you go to school?
Well, I got my bachelor's degree at George Mason University, and because I was stationed in DC. And what was cool about DC was I ended up getting a top secret clearance. So I ended up working at the Pentagon.
Nice.
I worked at the Military District of Washington, and I was actually doing financial stuff that I really can't talk about much, but it was really, really a great experience. And while I was there is when I decided I want to stay with the government and keep working for the government, because I had such a good position. And so I started studying government and international politics, thinking, that's where I wanted to keep going. And to become like the next Madeleine Albright or something. At the time, she was the Secretary of State.
Well, it sounds like you could have done that. I mean, that's a pretty impressive resume for anybody who's out here in LA. I mean, most of the rest, other than Casey, who's got real degrees, are just like on some half a degree trying to do something cool. But you like have actual qualifications for real things.
Yeah, but then of course I came out here and became an actress, and I'm not using any of it. Yeah.
But that's still cool, because you know how people think about actresses, and it's like, oh, you waited tables for 5 years until somebody found you for something, and like you don't have any other skills or talents. Like, people make those false assumptions about people all the time, and they don't know that, like, no, there's something deeper here. Like, you served in the military, you have a degree, you could have been running half the country. That's pretty cool in my opinion.
Oh, thank you.
Well, those life experiences I can't talk, really help when you're telling stories as an artist or as an actor, actress. I find it's really valuable as opposed to someone who's just coming in with sort of a blank slate and they're trying to imagine what they could bring to a story. Whereas like with your life story, from what you've already told us, you've already had a lot that you've overcome, a lot that you've worked really hard for.
I mean, did that make you more resilient for dealing with Hollywood, especially? I mean, like, you know, having a not privileged upbringing and then going through the military service and working hard on your degree. Like, does that give you more resiliency out here?
Absolutely, because you're rejected every day. You know, like when you're an actor and you bust your ass like studying. You know, you're like working on this character and you go audition and then you don't get the part, or you almost got the part, and then it's rejection after rejection until you get, you know, a few parts here and there. So I think the military and just my whole life, I've always worked hard. Like I've always studied hard. I've always worked hard. That's been my personality. So, but the military, I think being in the military and coming out here to Hollywood, it makes you kind of deal with the BS a little bit better, you know, the Hollywood stuff and the noise. You get to cancel out the noise a little bit better than I think most people.
Well, and you know, pardon my French, but I have to imagine that it keeps people from fucking with you too. That you.
Oh yeah. Well,
you've been in the army and you grew up, you know, in Puerto Rico and the Bronx. Like, you're not the person I see people trying to push around too much.
Yeah, I look very sweet, but you can't push me around. Yeah, exactly. It's like.
I like to be a fly on the wall when somebody pushes you just a little bit too far one of these times. To see what happens. Yeah.
You might see it one day. I don't know.
It'll be Casey. It won't be me.
Dude,
it might be on the show. You never know.
I don't mess with anyone that's a sergeant. Sergeant Slaughter, bro. Come on. I don't want to get put in the Cobra clutch.
Right. Oh man, wrestling. Wrestling.
It's always wrestling with Casey though. He is a font of information about wrestling that, you know,
I love it.
I could have seen every single match that Casey has seen, but there's no way I'd ever be able to remember it the same way he does.
It's a curse and a blessing, Justin. Like I can't remember important things, but will my pop culture things stay here forever?
Well,
that's good.
I'm glad
I gotta study for a test and I'm screwed, you know? Like
what were you gonna say, Byron? Were you gonna say something important?
I was gonna say, based on what we were talking a little bit ago, about how like there's a little bit of a how you're unique in the world of wrestling right now with Lucha Underground. Part of what Lucha Underground brings to wrestling TV, they bring people who aren't wrestlers or who aren't in the business. You're unique, and just in general, as an artist, as an actress, you have a specific upbringing, specific past that kind of gives you a unique voice. And like with your painting that's behind you, with the painting that you had at the LACMA, and you had a video a while ago about it. I wanted to ask you about your unique voice. How would you describe it? How is it based in your military background or your personal background as someone who's been a lot of places?
Byron gets deep. I love it.
How is my voice? I know it's so deep. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I have to dig a little bit.
I didn't think you were going to come on the wrestling podcast and like have to think. Man, Byron's like, digging in there.
It's good. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
My voice. I don't know. I don't understand exactly what you're getting at, but I think it's as an artist and as an actress and as a musician, I have passion. Like my voice is passion for whatever I do. So like you were mentioning the video for LACMA. I did a video where I was live painting.
It's called A Conversation, right?
A conversation. It was a conversation on terrorism because I had just, all these, the terrorism attacks, like ISIS had been attacking, like Paris had happened and all this stuff had happened. And then the attack in Brussels happened. And for some reason, I I was really edgy when that day. I was just like, oh, this is so fucking frustrating. I don't know if I'm supposed to curse or I can't curse, but it was so frustrating. And so I was just, and then I happened to be doing this program, the Veterans Make Movies program, where LACMA gets a group of veterans and we can make a little 3-minute film and have it on their website. And I was like, well, I'm just going to, you know, film myself making this painting. And I just did it. I just was like, I just went just crazy. I just, you know, when I get something in my head, I just go, and like I couldn't stop painting. I would paint it for days and days and days. And I guess my voice is expressing myself artistically with passion, with whatever it is that's moving me at the moment. So it could be a role like Capt Vasquez and pushing the, you know, Joey Ryan and Ricky Ray Cortez's buttons, or whether it's painting or if I'm writing a song, you know, whatever it is just, I think passion is important.
Well, so how did you go from, you know, being in the Army and going to college to acting? Like, where was the transition in there? When you woke up someday, and I get that you always had the passion in you, but at some point in time, it takes some kind of gumption to be like, yeah, forget all that stuff. I'm going to go to New York or LA and I'm going to act.
No, it's like, so funny. It's so funny. It was weird. It was, so I used to read the newspaper every day. Not anymore, but when I was studying international politics, I had to read the newspaper every day because we're constantly writing papers. So I'm reading the newspaper, and in the back of the newspaper, at the Washington Post, actually, there were articles, these ads like, do you want to be in movies? Take a class for the weekend. And I'm like, that would be something fun and different to do. Like, you know, I had never thought of acting. Nobody in my family had been an actor. I just wanted to do it for fun. And that weekend I went to this class. I paid like $150, and it was like this whole new experience that I got it. They give you the scene, and you get to do the scene with these, with the casting director, and the casting director happened to be from Puerto Rico too, which is like, I think the only casting director that happened to be from Puerto Rico, from Levittown. Like, you know, he was from New York, actually, from the Bronx too. And his family was from Levittown, which is part of Toa Baja, which is where I'm from. So I thought, okay, this is a sign. And he actually said, have you ever done this before? I said, no. And he said, if you continue doing it, keep in touch, because you have a very natural thing about you. And I thought, well, this is crazy. Like, I never thought of acting, you know, like, I mean, it was just weird. And so I think I had another 3 months left for graduating. And I thought, well, let me finish my degree. I'm going to finish it and then study a lot about acting and see what the business is like. And J-Lo was blowing up. Ricky Martin was blowing up at the time. Like, and Mark Anthony had just come up with his crossover album in English, and like all this stuff was happening with Puerto Ricans. And I thought, well, I don't know, maybe I should just try it. And so I graduated, and then literally the next month I was driving out to LA and not knowing anything. I stayed in a motel with my savings for the first week, and like, yeah, it was nutty, but it was cool. I'm here, you know, that's how I started.
Well, so did you, like, how long did it take before you started landing stuff?
I started landing, I think like a month later. I had a little part in an indie film. Like, I'm crazy. Like, I go in it and I'm like, and I'm sending my headshot to every person. I was sending my headshot to production companies. And this is like before internet. So like, you know, you just you get the directory or whatever. I found some directory at the library. And I'm like making envelopes with my headshots and cover letters with my stamped resume with fake credits. I was like not even union.
Smart.
I was not even union.
Always.
I'm like sending everybody in the world my headshot and resume. And I mean, there was the Backstage. Backstage has like more indie films for starters. So I got like my first little indie part through auditioning for something like that. So yeah.
I think the first movie, like, I was going through your IMDb and I was like, let's see what I've seen that Carmen was in. And it was a movie, and of course, at the time, I didn't know who you were when I saw it, but it was Illegal Tinder. And then,
oh, yeah.
And then I remember very little of it, but weren't you like a serious gangster with the drug dealer dudes in that movie?
I was a killer. I mean, I had a gun. Oh, so this is actually a funny story because so in the Army, when you're enlisted, I was a sergeant, and when you're enlisted, you only qualify with the M16 rifle and the machine gun. I mean, in basic training, you have the AC-4, which is the bazooka. The AC-4, yeah. So you do it once. You shoot with a machine gun, and you have the M16 rifle. But I had never shot a handgun. That's usually the officers have handguns. So in this movie, they're like, oh, so you're going to shoot a 9mm, and you should be able to know that because you were in the Army. I'm like, actually, I never shot a handgun before.
But I can shoot a grenade launcher.
Yeah, but I can shoot everything else in the world. I can bomb the whole building here, but I can't do a freaking handgun. So I thought that was kind of funny. And so anyway, yeah, so I'm in the beginning of the movie. Me and this other girl were the assassins. And back in the 80s with the 80s big hairdo and the 80s everything.
Well, yeah, no, it wasn't filmed in the 80s, but it was supposed to be portraying the 80s.
Yeah.
So you
know what was cool about that movie? It was my first movie that I booked on location. So, and it was in Puerto Rico. We shot the first 2 weeks in Puerto Rico, and then, 1 week in Puerto Rico and 1 week in New York. So that was cool too. It was my first time like going somewhere to shoot a movie, and
so you were living out here, and then basically you flew back to both of your homes to shoot.
Yeah, yeah, right. Isn't so? That was like so exciting too.
Your
so
friends
you saw the movie. That's so cool.
Then showing up like, hey, what's up? I'm back. I'm in a movie, y'all.
yeah. Well, actually, I got my sister to come and be like an extra in the party scene. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Nice.
I gotta bring
your friends along.
I got to interrupt with a shout out from the, it's not really a question, from the chat room. John RRC, otherwise known as J-Ray, wants to say respect for not only serving our country, but pursuing your dreams without hesitation.
Thank you, J-Ray. Thank you.
J-Ray is a huge fan. I know this. He's one
Thank
of my
you,
best
J-Ray.
friends. Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
J-Ray's the man. You'll see him.
J-Ray is the man.
You've probably seen him quite a bit on Lucha Underground too, because he's one of the front row clowns that's there yucking it up with us a whole bunch.
Yeah, it's like us and him. Yeah.
Well, he's got the pretty face though, so the camera loves J-Ray more so than pretty much everyone else in the crowd.
He's the one who makes all the signs too for the Ultima Luchas, which is awesome.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He makes a lot of them.
Makes a lot of crazy Pentagon signs.
Yeah, the Lucha Click is deep, Carmen. It's deep. It's strong. So since we're talking about your acting, give people a little flavor for some of the other stuff that you've done. Like, what stuff have you liked doing? Is there anything you've absolutely hated? If you'll tell us, like what's your acting trajectory and career been like? What are the high points and low points?
Well, let me think. Well, I have worked on 2 films with the same director, and he was a yeller, and that was never fun. But you want to be the actor that just does their job, and actually, I never got yelled at myself, but he was yelling at everybody on set. And if you literally had an idea, like the camera guy had an idea to move the camera, it's like, did I say to do that? I mean, it was really bad where he was just a screamer. And so that wasn't so nice. I don't really, as tough as I can be, I don't really like being around that. Like, I like being peaceful and having a good time. So, but most of the experience has been great. And one funny thing, actually, a funny experience I had, and this was an audition. So I remember auditioning for Everybody Hates Chris. You know that TV show, Chris Rock's TV show? So I was auditioning, and they were looking for this hot girl that she's getting out of the tickets in the courtroom, and Chris Rock's mom is like getting ticketed for something minor, but this hot chick, just because she's hot, she gets away with murder, right? And there's like 20 girls in the room, and everybody's like just beautiful, and I'm like, oh great, like how am I gonna do this? Like, this is ridiculous. And so on the spot, I thought, hello, this takes place in Brooklyn, and I can do Rosie Perez, no problem. My last name is Perez too, and I just went ahead and did it, and I decided to do it on the last minute. And you know what? I got the part. I got the part. So anyway, that's how I got the part. It was just crazy. You know, I did it, and Debbie Allen, who's a big choreographer, she was directing the episode, and she was there at the callbacks. I got a callback, and I just started off like, oh, hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And then all of a sudden I turn on Rosie Perez vibe, and it was like she starts cracking up, and I'm trying to stay serious and like do my thing, and I got the part. So anyway, thank you, Rosie, for inspiring me.
Right on.
And Debbie Allen's huge. That's crazy. Like, was that intimidating at all? Like, she's kind of like...
She's huge to people like me, Casey, because I'm old. I remember Fame. I was into Fame when I wanted to go to the School of the Arts because of Debbie Allen.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was intimidated. Yeah. It was like, oh, but she was cool. She was very cool. Like, she was very, she was focused. She was it's like Skip, you know, like very focused on set. We were just like, okay, I have a mission, and this is what we're gonna do, and like this is, you know, she was very cool but very focused, and not much else going on. So
Skip doesn't yell at people. Is that what we're hearing?
I didn't get any yelling going on. I don't know. That happens is not when I'm around.
Well, we mentioned him like twice a week on the show, and he still hasn't come on. So
have we ever even asked Skip? I don't even know if we've gotten to Skip yet.
No.
We're still working on Stolman.
We'll beg him to come on.
Stolman.
We didn't talk about Stolman yet.
Stolman is a myth.
Stolman is not a myth. Somebody has to ring the bell.
I've seen.
Speaking of,
go ahead, Byron. I'll let you talk.
Thank you. Speaking of funny stories,
I like you. I'm going to let you talk. No, I'm not. I'm going to cut you off.
So, what is it like to act with what we like to call non-actors, or professional wrestlers? What is it like?
You're talking about Joey Ryan, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're talking about Joey, aren't you?
Joey Cortez.
Oh, Ricky can act. Well, so you're talking about Joey.
I'm talking to anyone specifically. These are all men who are much tougher than me, and I'm not gonna
Joey kick your ass. I'm sorry.
I don't.
Be awesome.
I don't want to lose a fight to Joey. That's for sure. But what's it like to act with them? It has to be very unconventional.
It actually, I don't see it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's unconventional, but we usually have to work the lines and practice a little bit more than I have before, but I love it. Like I'm all about whatever the other actor needs from you. I believe that when you're acting is a team thing. So I might be the one needing more to run it more before we go on. And that's just how it is, you know? And I think in this situation, usually they want to work on it a little bit more. And I love it. Like, so I to me, it's not unconventional. It's like every actor is different. Some actors don't want to practice at all. Like, they're like, no, leave me alone. I don't want to talk. And
well, I would think that those guys got to feel like they have to step it up, because they're some of the few guys in the locker room that are in scenes with an actual actor.
But they do great. Like, I think they're doing great.
Together. But yeah, I mean, I think they do great too. But I think maybe you're probably bringing them up. You know, you're elevating them because you're the pro in the room, right? You and Skip, when you guys do those scenes, are the guys that have done this stuff before, and they've done wrestling stuff, I'm assuming. Though I don't know what
don't you think to me wrestling has a little bit of acting involved? I think your character, when you get into wrestling a little bit, like there's I think actors, you embrace some part of yourself that is that role, and I think that's what wrestlers do. You know,
I agree. I just I just wonder at times, like, and I've heard some of the wrestlers say this before, is like they can go out in the ring and cut the best promo in the world, feeding off of 40 fans to 40,000 fans, like getting that vibe, and they get used to it, as scary as it might be at first, but they get used to acting in a different kind of way. But then they get backstage and they got a guy like Skip there, and then a professional actor like yourself in the scene, and there's just lights and crew around, and it becomes a different thing. Like, you don't
it is.
interaction, you don't know if it's cheesy or if you're coming off right. And I'm just thinking like, well, at least they got Carmen in the room because then they can bounce off of her and she can be like, no, you need to run that back.
Yeah, no, we've had a few times here and there, but usually we run it like a decent amount before we go on, for the most part. So
are those two especially, are they like cutting up a bunch when you guys are doing scenes? Like Joey strikes me as the kind of guy who is definitely always on and kind of cutting it up and having a good time.
Oh yeah, I think we always have a great time. Like we're serious when like we're actually shooting, but they're awesome. I love working on the show. Like I think it's one of the nicest, best crews I've worked with. Like, and especially with the actors, with Joey Ryan and Ricky Reyes.
Well, and these guys have mentioned Skip. What's it like working with Skip? Like, is his process that similar to like working on a feature, or is it more?
Yeah,
approach more like a commercial, or like what's his kind of directing process with you guys?
He's very he's very prepared. Like I love working with him too because I'll come in and like the thing is with Lucha that's a little different than other stuff is that you don't get the whole script. You just get your scenes. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but you don't. So I don't know what's going on around anything else. So you get your scenes, and sometimes you're talking about something that you're like, oh, so I create my own little like backstory and like have this whole thing going on, and then I go on, and he tells me, and he's like, oh, well, maybe think about this. So he's actually very prepared to kind of guide you and give you like the real backstory or some sort of he's like on and so on and focused. Like I love working with him, and he's very calm, and like it's just like let's just shoot and let's just do it again and think about this now. And he's great. Like it's
does DJ or Roach or EB Dub or any of the other producers show up and kind of tell you anything about where they're going with the stories, or is it all coming from Skip?
No, it's just Skip. I don't get any juicy details, so I'm just as what do you call it? I'm just as I don't know what's going to happen in the future.
So you're in the dark.
So when you only getting your scene, when you actually watched the show for the first time with you on it, what did you think of like how crazy the rest of the show was?
I thought it was crazy. Yeah, but what's funny is like my stepdad used to watch Lucha Libre every weekend when back in Puerto Rico. So I know how crazy it can be, but Lucha Underground is like special. Like it's different. It's better. It's like better wrestling, better overall everything. Like I think so. But I was like, whoa, like that's crazy. And when I went to the live show, there's a lot of blood, and like I remember the first time I went, there was like blood everywhere. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like I had never seen that. So it's
well, and the first time you went to the live show, and then I think Eric told me the next day, it was like, dude, should have been here yesterday. I would have introduced you guys to Carmen and blah blah blah.
Oh,
but because I would always go on Sundays, and I think you came on a Saturday or something.
I'm trying to figure out which show it was with the blood because there were so many shows of blood. Oh,
it's hard to tell.
Actually, so I did one show that had the blood the first time, and then the second time was when what's his name, like totally cut himself like on the wrist where they had to take him to the emergency. They had to reshoot that.
Yeah.
So both times that I went, it was like massive blood and it was like craziness. So
yeah, that was definitely the time that Eric was rubbing it in my face because I showed up the next day and he was like, dude, why were you not here yesterday? What is wrong with you? And I was just like, what are you talking about? It's like Matanza's punching through windows and Carmen was here and like all this stuff was going on. I would have had you like, hey, like, man, this stinks.
Next time I'll tweet that I'm going and I'll make sure you're
I think you even did that time.
Oh, I did.
Just
go both days.
Well, dude, the whole weekend of Lucha Underground is that's a lot for an old man. I'm an old man.
Yeah. You don't look old.
I'm trying my hardest to, but when I take the mask off, it's all oldness. She was talking about Byron and I have a birthday on the same day, but his is like 10 years.
Well, we're not the same age.
Yeah, no, you're
very obviously we're not the same age.
Yeah, me and Byron went to high school together. He was a teacher and I was a student.
No. No.
So it's like generation and generation and generation.
Yeah,
I'm the
everyone thinks
youngest
I'm the young one,
out of the
but
three
it's
of us.
not true. I'm
No, do they? Do they?
Yeah, they do. They do, Brian.
Do they?
It's funny how that works. So we're talking about you coming into Lucha Underground. How the hell did you get this job? This is like, it's Robert Rodriguez's network. It's this crazy Lucha Libre show. So, and you're Puerto Rican. You're not Mexican, which most of the wrestlers are from Mexico, even though a few of them are also Puerto Rican.
Hey, shout out to Mil Muertes, bro. He's from Puerto Rico.
And Katrina's Puerto Rican too, isn't she?
No, but what's her name? Ivelisse is.
Ivelisse is Puerto Rican.
Oh, Ivelisse.
Not Katrina, but Ivelisse is for sure. Yeah.
Are you and Ivelisse best friends?
We're not. I only met her once, so
Okay.
but she's cool, especially because she's Puerto Rican.
Well, so how do you get this job? Is this like, is this
I
on Actors
auditioned.
Access or something? Like, how do you find this gig?
No, my manager actually got me an official audition. They actually have this great casting director. And my manager got me the audition. It was like a regular audition. You just go to the, Yeah.
Well, you must have killed it because, like I said, Eric seemed pretty happy about it. And
that's good.
And,
that's good.
And if he wasn't, he'd be like, "Yeah, we cast some parts," but he wasn't.
And we don't know anything about them, Yeah. No, it was a cool audition too. Yeah.
That's awesome because I wonder how many parts they've done that for. I can't imagine that there's been a whole lot of open calls for Lucha Underground. I have to imagine you're probably one of the few, if not the only person that actually ever got called for a real audition for the show. Like everybody else.
Yeah, right? Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, there's no other straight actors on the show except.
I don't think Lorenzo Lamas had to audition.
Yeah, that would be great if he had to. Like, Lorenzo, can you come read for our wrestling?
And Justin, I just want to thank you for continuing to kayfabe Dario Cueto as being the actual owner and not another actor.
No.
Well, why would you bring that up?
Because I want to ask what it's like to work with him.
Why would you want to work? What's it like to work with a man of
class and grandeur?
Yeah,
get it right.
I have never done a scene with Dario Cueto. I'm supposed to like Captain Vasquez wants to. She can't wait to get her hands on Dario Cueto, but it hasn't happened yet.
That was us trying to sneak in some like spoilers, but you got it.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
We don't want spoilers because then.
Okay, well, let's ask in a non-spoilery way then.
Okay.
As I chew the olive from my coffee.
Was that an olive? I was actually thinking, is that like a lollipop or?
No, I'm not. See, don't rely too much. This is I'm drinking from our Mask Mats and Mayhem coffee mug, but it's a martini. So
it is.
Nice.
Yeah, well, cheers.
It's not classy at all. It's so not classy show. Martinis in a coffee mug. But we don't have MMM show branded martini glasses. We have to.
You have to fix that.
That's our next Teespring limited edition.
Starly, get to work.
Hey, I want one of your mugs or one of your shirts or something. Can I get one? We will
definitely get you a shirt. The way we do them is really weird because we don't have regular merchandise. We do this company called Teespring where we design it and create it, and if you sell a certain amount, then they actually fulfill the order. If you don't sell the amount, they don't even fulfill the order. But then when you do the order, that's it. They're gone after that. And the only way to do more is we have to release it again, and we have to meet a certain quota.
Wow, okay.
We're not sitting on boxes and boxes of shirts.
Right.
Because, we're not as famous or cool as, like you or the wrestlers or whatever. So it's like, we're not going to sell 300 shirts a month. We're going to sell 4. So why do these huge runs? But definitely the next time, I got shirts sitting here for EV Dub and DJ that
cool.
We thought we were going to be seeing them soon. And because we thought Lucha Underground was going to start taping again.
Well, we will find out when they start taping again.
Yeah.
And EV Dub last week, he didn't seem worried. So I feel good. I know a lot of other people don't feel good, and there's so much drama going on with talent and people. Like, what's it like for you? I mean, you're not working 24/7 on Lucha Underground anyway. So are you cool with waiting a couple extra months before you get to go back?
Yeah, I'm not cool. I like to work on the show, so of course I'm like not cool about it, but I have to be cool about it, you know.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's tough for everybody. It's like, I thought I was going to be working in spring, and now I might be working in fall.
Yeah, no, that's the nature of the acting business. You know, it's happened before. You just think you're gonna shoot now, and it takes like another 5 months or 3 months or whatever to, yeah.
Well, see, I think honestly, you probably understand it a lot better than the wrestlers, because the wrestling business is like, okay, I booked my indies, or I'm working WWE and it's going more than I even want to be there.
Right.
You know, or, you know, they're going back and forth from New Japan to Ring of Honor. Like, I don't think they get it. Like Byron and I, as you know, reality show producers, even, it's like, you got a show, you're working real hard for 3-4 months straight, and then you have nothing.
Right. Right.
And then the next show you were supposed to be on gets pushed or it gets retooled or, you know, like, and you have.
Yeah, you're used to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have
the show I'm on now was pushed 3 months.
Oh, and Byron was crying about it constantly.
I was a little salty. I was salty. I wasn't crying. I wasn't crying. I was just.
You weren't crying. You were cutting onions.
Trace, you wouldn't have got to do that if the show was back on, Byron.
If what?
If the show was back on, you wouldn't have got to go to Ultima Lucha Trace. So it's all.
No, good. I still fly in for that. I fly from work on Friday. I drive to the airport. I do Ultima Lucha, and then I go to the airport.
Really?
And then
he's
I go
working
to the airport
in Florida,
after.
by the way. He's not like working around the corner. He's flown in for Lucha Underground shows from Florida from his job.
Wait, what? Are you serious? I didn't know that. Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's
Lucha
awesome.
Click believers are insane people, Carmen.
I shot pickups for my last season on the show, still wearing the clothes that I wore when I watched Ultima Lucha Dos.
That's nasty.
Like Ray and Puma, you know, all that stuff, like all the stuff that's going on, and the whole temple is just mayhem. It's crazy. And then I got on a plane and I went to work the next day in the same Pentagon shirt. It was great.
Well, at least it wasn't the time we got like beer spit on us. That happens a lot.
That's just nasty, man. Like they sell shirts, you know. Buy a shirt, dude. Like, get a clean shirt.
I bought a few.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow. Nice.
Thank you. I made this myself.
Nice. I love it.
Thank you. I bought it.
Good designer there.
Sorry,
I like how Justin's face froze in the box with like a face just completely disgusted at Byron for a while.
No, everything froze. I was like, what's going on there?
Oh, it's probably my internet's been shoddy ever since these stupid storms.
Yeah.
And mine just always is. I live in the boonies. What can I say?
Yeah, you live out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so what I was getting at before we got sidetracked with Byron's funky shirts.
Let's talk about my shirts.
I was asking Carmen in a non-spoilery way, like, I want to get to what do you want to do in Lucha Underground? You don't have to tell us what you have done already for season 3.
You're going to get in the ring and kick someone's ass? That's what we want. We want to see you just use that military training and like.
I don't know if I want to see her get in the ring, but maybe come to ringside, or maybe, you know, some scenes in Dario's office, or maybe bring about the end of days with her medallion and slap some people around. Like, what do you want to do?
Please suggest that to the writers. What do I want to do? Well, it would be cool to have some sort of physical contact with someone. It doesn't have to be a full-on in the ring.
Well, I hope it's not Joey Ryan. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I hope I don't get twisted by his, that would be crazy. Yeah, but, no.
Are you doing any training? Have you done any in-ring training?
I haven't trained in a while, but in the Army, it was combat training. So we had hand-to-hand combat and some other
We need to get her in an angle with Killshot and Dante Fox.
We can get that move that Sergeant Slaughter used to do, where it was like a noogie on the side of their head.
The noogie submission hold.
Yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah, I would have to come up with my own moves and all that stuff. I mean, if the time comes, I will plan all my moves and, you know.
Well, I got to think that some kind of time is coming. You've got that half a medallion, and I gotta imagine that somebody's either going to come after you to try to get it, or at some point that your character is going to try to use this item to further their agenda, and your agenda is obviously to thwart Dario and this weird plan. But you could have issues with Katrina or something. I could see you coming to the temple and slapping a fool eventually.
Oh yeah, I can see that happening too.
Yeah, steal back that other part of that Friends Forever heart medallion and put them together.
From Katrina?
I mean, look, let's be honest. That's what we all want to see. We all want to see you like in the locker room, just beat Katrina down and take the other half of the medallion, right? That's
what everybody wants to see, right? You're in for a little surprise.
I hope it's a good one. I like honestly, we're always surprised by Lucha Underground. Like, we go to a ton of tapings. We know a lot of how the matches are going to pay off. So
none of the backstage stuff.
We'll see the end of the storyline, but we have no clue what's going on backstage, and the wrestlers don't. We can talk to them even off the show and whatever. They don't have a clue either. Nobody knows except DJ, and he's not telling. Evie Dub gets confused half the time with what's going on.
Yeah. No, it's and you know, again, like I don't know the whole storyline. I just know a few things, and I know some of the stuff that I've done and I filmed, and you know.
So are you excited about those few things that you've done? Are you looking forward to them?
I am very much looking forward to the part 2 of season 3 coming back on, and
season 3 part 2.
Sí, parte 2. Yes.
Sí.
Sí.
So we've got like 20 something episodes coming back. How many do you think you're going to be in? You think you get like 4 or 5?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not in that many, but I haven't been in that many before, so I don't really know. I don't know how they're going to do that.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of
at least one that I know of.
And in the way they're setting it up on the show, like I feel like there's some good stuff coming for Joey and Ricky. So I gotta assume that that's going to mean that there's definitely some time for you to still be involved. Though Ricky didn't fare so well last couple times we've seen him at the temple on the show.
Yeah,
we got to get Ricky to come on this show too and do some explaining. He's got some explaining.
He's got some explaining to do. Yeah.
Oh, dude,
I love Lucy. I love that show.
Yeah,
that dude's been wrestling forever. Like Ricky Reyes. It's got to be since like the late '90s. That dude's been wrestling. I think. Like
really?
Yeah. Like he's been wrestling since he was like a teenager.
Oh wow.
He looks like a teenager now.
I know, right?
He looks younger than I look.
He may be a vampire. I've never seen him during the daytime once in my whole life.
Okay, so and that's the question we probably have to ask Carmen, because I don't know what exactly the medallion implies entirely, but it seems like your character's like 200 to 1,000 years old.
What made you think that?
He could have just found the medallion, dude. She could have been like walking down the street and said,
"No, there was a scene where I was given the medallion, but
which was like 1,000 years ago. It was like Aerostar long ago.
Yeah.
You should have seen the people confused if that was supposed to be you as a kid or not.
These are the same people that thought Vinny was eating a burrito.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I don't think we should be asking Carmen how old she is on the show, because the last time someone asked or got podcast information about how old someone was on Lucha Underground, they got fired from Lucha Underground, and I don't want to get fired from being
but
a fan.
that was before there was any implication of that character being older. We've seen her in the past.
I just don't want to MVP this, you know?
All right.
MVP ourselves? Oh, okay.
I can't say, but I just know, you know, you can think whatever you like to think.
Well, you know, my whole take on this from the get-go was I really wanted Krista Joseph to write some hot women onto Lucha Underground that were less than 200 years old.
No. Okay. a little more normal. Yeah. Okay.
He did say between Game of Thrones and Lucha Underground that it was messing with his head a little bit. I remember that.
It's a little fetishy. His thing with like not older women, but like centuries older women.
Yeah. That's a problem, huh?
I heard DJ.
Is that problem? You got a problem?
Oh, Rosie's back.
Yeah, you got a problem with that? No, that was more like Scarface or something. I don't know.
That was a little more Scarface. I love that.
I thought it was
what do I know?
Yeah.
Say hello to my little friend, huh?
All right.
No.
So Carmen, there's a huge thing that we have not talked about yet, and it is a huge part of your life, and it's another one of these crazy mysteries. We talked a little bit about your painting, but I still kind of want to know how you got into that. But you're also a musician, and if you guys haven't heard it yet, Carmen's got a new EP out, and she's a talented singer and performer as well on that front, which is ridiculous. Like how do you do all these things? Where'd you get this skill from?
I don't need, my dad's a musician. My dad's side of the family, my dad's a bass player. He used to play bass in salsa bands. My uncle's a saxophone player. They both play guitar. My grandpa was a player. So I grew up with music, but I didn't know. I used to just sing for the family and not really think I was going to pursue it as a career. And my mom actually she can draw really well. So she never pursued arts, but she draws better than me, actually. So I got obviously a little bit of both of their things, and I didn't think I was going to pursue any of them. I used to draw as a kid, little cartoons and I used to make up my own little caricatures, but I didn't think I was gonna do it. Like it was, it's just.
So it's all genetics. That just means the rest of us are all completely screwed. I mean, it's
just
good genes.
No, I mean, I had to work at it. Like it's not like songwriting. I've learned to songwrite. I had to practice, and I had to like work at songwriting and structure and singing. I don't think it's finding your voice as a singer is a whole nother thing. That you could be a good singer or an okay singer or a decent singer, but finding your voice as a singer and like what works better for your voice, that takes time and work and practice and stuff.
Well, it also takes money to record an album too. Like, where did this come about? Did you this isn't the first album you've done either, right? Like, how'd you get into actually being a recording artist?
Well, I was an actress when I got my first I was an actress, and I got a deal with a dance label, and we ended up releasing 2 singles that I got in the charts. There was dance music, so it was very EDM, right. And we got in the charts in Billboard and the UK pop charts, and so those, I had to spend money with. Even though I was with this small label, I had to spend some money to pay for part of the producers' fees and stuff like that.
Which is fairly standard, by the way, especially if you're not a signed huge artist that people don't know. I did music when I first moved out here and was a recording engineer and producer.
What kind of music were you doing?
New metal.
Really?
My first album that I really worked on was the very first Papa Roach record. I'm dating myself now for sure. And then I worked on the Alien Ant Farm, and I worked on the Come My Lady guys, whatever the hell their name was. And
I know that, but I
shout out Helmet Rules.
Coldplay.
I didn't work on the Helmet record. That was the record I didn't work on.
Oh,
my friend Dan. No, well, I was the assistant manager at the studio then, and those guys were really awesome, and Paige was really awesome, but I was not. Like, I was the assistant manager there when the first Linkin Park record got made too. Like, this is
cool.
late 90s, I'm going to say early 2000s to make myself not sound too old.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I worked on some pop R&B stuff too. I was the Pro Tools guy on like the Crystal Harris Supergirl song and some other stuff that one of the Backstreet Boys produced, and worked with Everlast and a couple of those guys. But that was like 3 careers ago. But the music business is hard.
Yeah.
TV is way better than the music business. This is a hard industry.
Well, when you're making TV is easier, but when you're trying to get a TV job is hard, I think. But did the album took 3 years though. It was like because when you can't pay someone what they deserve to get paid, they have other things to do that pays them their bills. So it took 3 years, And I was going to music school because I actually wanted to learn music theory and like actually know what I was doing and become a better songwriter and work on my voice. So I actually was going to music school under this program that I had to audition for. This Herb Alpert had a program at LACC in LA here. And so I did that program while I was doing the album, and I was taking 17 units in a semester. So I was going crazy. And anyway, it took 3 years, did that. It was kind of more experimental. And then this album, I was originally going to work on a Latin jazzy album, and that didn't come through. So then I started working with this producer, and he's Scandinavian. He does Scandinavian pop. And with my Latin influence and his Scandinavian pop, we sort of merged the two, and it's kind of a nice combination of the two. So, and we just knocked it out. He works the way I do. Like we work really, really, we just go for it, and we're like on a mission, and we want to finish it by this date, and we just go for it and finish it. And it's the first time I've worked with someone where they were as focused as I have been. So, which is nice.
Well, it's pretty cool too, because Scandinavian, you either go pop or you go death metal. So
yeah, right.
That'll be the next record. It'll be Carmen sounding like Gojira.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, throw some love out there. Who are the people that you worked with on the album? If there's anybody you want to shout out on it, and where can people find it?
Sigurd Rosnes is the producer that I worked with, and you can find the album on. He's not on social media a lot. He doesn't have a public page, but you can find him on Wikipedia, and we're working on the website for the producer Sigurd Rosnes. If I know it's a weird name, so Sigurd and then Rosnes. And then you can find the music on everywhere, like Spotify, iTunes, Amazon. I have no physical copies.
Which one pays you the most? That's the one we want to play.
Probably iTunes.
Okay.
Go to iTunes.
And Spotify is like nobody buys the actual album; it's by plays. Right. So it takes like 1 million plays to make like.
I'm sure.
Wait, what was that? I didn't hear.
If you got 1 million hits on Spotify, I'm sure that would probably help your cause.
That would help, yes. But
everyone should go to, when you go to sleep, open up Spotify.
Yes.
Get Carmen's album up, press play,
and just let it go.
Mute your
and make it repeat.
Mute your records, your speakers. I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, see, you have to, because if you leave the speakers on, you're gonna wake up in the middle of the night dancing, or if it's
dreaming about space.
No, when you wake up, turn them on so you can listen to it and start your day. But just have it play and repeat. Everyone should do this. Have it. I
should have worn my NASA shirt. I forgot. You totally have a space thing, right?
Guess what? Space? I saw a rocket launch a few nights ago.
You did?
It was awesome. I'm about an hour south at Cape Canaveral, and I'm on the beach, and I see the rockets launch at night. It's incredible.
Oh. Well, I was supposed to watch one, and then they scrubbed it because of weather conditions, and I couldn't stay till the next day. And it was 2 days later when they finally did it, and it was like, yeah. That's so cool that you got to see that. That's so fun.
So where did the space thing come from? How you seem to be very into it?
Oh, I love space. Like it was like always a thing, and growing up and watching space stuff, and looking at the sky and wondering like what which one is what planet, and like but it didn't come, like I didn't really make it an active choice until I decided to write music that had sort of space, like use it as a lyric, like metaphors for life. And that's when I started kind of using it more in my art.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, David Bowie is one of my favorite artists of all time. And obviously, he used it as a metaphor from sex, drugs, life, death, and even space. I mean, just depending on which song.
And Gwar, one of my favorite bands, is from outer space. They're the Scumdogs of the Universe.
Ooh, Scumdogs.
I have a very good Gwar story that I'll tell you one of these days on the show, Casey, that you'll love. So what's the name of the EP? What's your favorite song on it? Tell me a little bit about this current thing. And you went to NAMM this week or last week too? Were you plugging?
I was at NAMM this past weekend. It was more to meet with people, and I didn't perform. It's more like meeting people and looking at what products are there and looking at the toys. They have new speakers and new this and new things to play with on your computer with music. And so I like to, and new guitars. I'm not gonna buy any more guitars, but I like to just play around with the new guitars and see what they have.
Yeah,
and
I can't go to NAMM. I spend a fortune after every single time I've gone to NAMM because I have a degree in audio engineering. I mean, like that was my thing. There it is.
He has so many degrees. It sounds.
I didn't say 7. I didn't.
Yeah.
It's a long joke. It has to do with fonts and shirts and so many other things. It's
and
so
7 degrees.
So many jokes about how I can't go to NAMM either because I'll give them they'll never believe. But
I also can't go.
You can't go to NAMM
because I can't.
Can't go to NAMM. I've watched too many Rambo movies.
Too many Rambo. Too scary.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a terrible pun. I love where it's going, but it's a terrible pun.
Yeah.
Someone on my show, and before we were at work today, someone in the garage where my office is, I could overhear everything they were doing, and they were watching or listening to the soundtrack to Apocalypse Now.
Oh, yeah.
There's a soundtrack for that?
Yes, it's incredible.
Hey, have you heard? It's a very it's atmospheric.
It has the music with bits from the movie. So you hear.
I just remember the Wagner thing with the Ride of the Valkyries or Flight of the Valkyries or whatever. Like,
it has
there's
that
more
too.
music than that.
It has all the monologues. Wow. It's incredible. And then, like when you're about to work on a home construction show, Apocalypse Now really gets you in the right frame of mind.
Got to get you that Conan soundtrack, Byron. That Conan soundtrack will start your day right.
Hey, check out the Blade Runner. Blade Runner soundtrack is the best, one of the best soundtracks ever. I think
it is, and I
love that movie. Okay,
there's a friend of mine, Edgar, who is a keyboard player, and he actually recreated the entire Blade Runner soundtrack himself and recorded. It's amazing too. Like he did a great job because he has all these synths and all these crazy.
Yeah.
I gotta give my nerd shout out to Goblin, some Suspiria, some scary shit that will give you nightmares for life.
You only listen to John Carpenter's music.
Hey, I did. My friend did tell John Carpenter he was a better composer than John Williams to his face, and he just left.
I don't know if that's true, but that's pretty solid. All right, so Carmen, can I play one of your videos? I would like to play your new one. The what is it?
I love the way you kiss. Sure, yeah, whichever one you want to play. Yeah.
I want to try. I want to try doing this because we've never done this on this show before, and I don't know if I can. We pulled off the intro thing. Yeah. So I'm gonna attempt something completely new and unusual here that I've never tried. But cool. I think that the viewers of this show will more than appreciate this particular music video. And you've made a ton of music videos apparently, right? How many have you done?
I've done not everything is online, but I've done, I would say 10, not that many, not as many as I'd like to, but I'm working on a music video or at least a lyric video for every song in this EP, in the Space Girl EP. Actually, we were just shooting 2 days ago. We were shooting Space Girl. Oh no, you went away.
I'm still here, but I'm getting your video ready.
Oh, okay. Get it ready then.
He's allegedly getting the video ready. We're not sure if it's gonna work yet. I'm sure the chat room will chastise us.
Well, so you're shooting another video for Space Girl, you said?
For the actual song Space Girl, yeah. So we were there 2 days ago. I can't tell you where because it's an amazing location. And pretty far away and a lot of work.
You sound like all my friends that are directors, like trying to hold on to those locations.
Yeah, I know. My DP was like, "Ooh, I have to remember this location for the," and I'm like, "No. This is, Anyway,
you gave us enough clues. It's a spectacular location. It's far away. It's clearly outer space, but we won't tell.
Yes. So, did you direct that video?
I did.
Awesome. And what about this one that I'm gonna play? I
did as well. I edited it too. So this one's a little, I think to me is a little more amateurish. Like it was more simple, but the song I like a lot. this song. Yeah. So
yeah,
you
I
do
really
whatever.
like this song too, and I just saw this video yesterday, I think, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Let me see if I can actually find a way to play this on the show. So I'm going to attempt to do this, and we'll see how this works.
How cool.
This is very strange, and I think that your microphones will still be on.
I'll mute this.
Irresistible. The moment your eyes fell on me, unforgettable. The first time I heard your soliloquy, it was time to leave this masquerade and mesmerize me all the way. I'm addicted to your skin, I crave your lips, and most of all, I love the way you kiss. I love the way you kiss. Insatiable. Your essence is so sexy and incredible. Synchronicity I've got with your body. You make me feel like the most wanted girl in the world. I'm addicted to your skin, I crave your lips, and most of all, I love the way you kiss. I love the way you kiss me. Unbelievable how it's serendipity, unexplainable. Why you sculpt me into your masterpiece. I miss you when you're gone, I need your mouth all the time. I'm addicted to your skin, I crave your lips, and most of all, I love the way you kiss. I love the way you kiss me. I love the way you kiss. I love the way you kiss me.
Wow, did that actually work?
It did.
probably
Dude,
not the
rave
smoothest.
It worked.
Rave reviews from the chat room right now.
That was awesome.
Yeah, this is pretty lit. Yeah, from J Ray, Andre Nichols. Word, yeah, it's dope. I couldn't have read that wider, but the sentiment's there. But yeah, J Ray, big EDM enthusiast.
Oh, cool.
That comes with a very high thumbs up.
Thank you.
Yeah,
yay.
I have to say that track I really loved, and I think I had heard the track before, but then when I watched the video and heard the track this week, I was just like, you know what? That's of the ones that I saw, I was like, that's the one I want to play for people, because I think that people just like, they're gonna grab a hold of that. And there's just something. First of all, it's sexy as hell, and like just the whole flow of it, the tone, the combination of the you know, the drums and the music with your voice. I just thought was perfect. So I was like, you know, that's the track that I think really is going to showcase Carmen well. And that's, you know, coming from somebody who has worked as a producer and produced hundreds and hundreds of songs.
Thank you, Justin.
Justin listing the accomplishments.
Only because I want my opinion to count for something. It's like, you know, otherwise I wouldn't even say it, but I would like, you know, I can't say that I've wrestled 10 million times. So when I talk about some wrestler's move, it's like, yeah, you're full of shit, dude. But when I'm talking about music, like I know what I'm talking about. And that's just a damn good track in my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll let the producer know too. He might be watching. I don't know, but I'll let him know.
Well, and I hope this setup does it some kind of justice, because I'm sure it's not like you want to hear this in the full stereo, put some headphones on.
Yeah, you want to hear the bass line. You want to hear the bass line. Yeah. I love the bass line in this song. So, yeah.
So go on YouTube, guys. What's your YouTube? It's just Carmen Perez YouTube, right?
Carmen Perez Art.
Carmen Perez Art, just like your Twitter handle, right?
Yeah.
And definitely go check that out, and then go buy it on iTunes, please. Which I'll support. Everybody's talking about.
Thank you.
This, that, and the other thing. I'm not going to watch Lucha Underground if my favorite guys do this and that in AAA. It's like, you guys want to support somebody that's on Lucha Underground? You want to support somebody that's
legit talking to me right now, Justin.
I'm just saying. Look, if you want to legit support somebody who's on Lucha Underground, go and buy Carmen shit on iTunes. Period.
Thank you.
That's how we do this, y'all. You can't come on a podcast.
We don't put any promo codes on there to get like a piece for ourselves. We don't do any of that. Like a podcast that might be in the chat room right now.
Oh, snap. I love that. So the last thing I do want to talk to you about too is your art. We talked a little bit about it before.
Yeah.
And also, as a conversation, is that on your YouTube page? Can people see that, or is that on your Twitter?
I think I might have it on there but it's on the LACMA YouTube page. But I think I have it on one of my playlists on there. Yeah, it should be on. Sure it is on one of my playlists.
I think that's how I probably saw it too.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah.
I just love that, and you guys should watch that too to see like part of Carmen's process as an artist, and not just, you know, that she's creating a painting, but that she's kind of explaining, you know, what her process is and where it's coming from and what the passion behind that piece is. So you guys should check that out too. But I also want to give you a chance to kind of tell us where your art is going, and if people can find it, if it's showing anywhere, or if they can buy pieces, and like what kind of your process with the painting is too, because you paint these beautiful pictures as well. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I haven't been painting that much because I was so focused on finishing the music EP that I just released. And I've literally been planning a music video, and I'm the mastermind behind the ideas of the music videos. And then I'm very active on the costuming and every part of the music video, and I edit them afterwards. So, right now, it's all about the music videos and finishing up the music project and promoting it as much as I can. And then I'm going to get back into painting. But I have about 60 paintings, and every once in a while when I have insomnia, I'll draw. I don't pull out my painting stuff because I put it away, but I've been drawing here and there, and, you know, and it comes back. So it's going to, the process is just when I feel it, you know, I start painting. And I went through a phase where I was just painting every night. You know, I painted like 30 paintings. It was almost like finishing a painting a day. I was painting so much. It was just crazy.
Holy smokes. That's a lot.
And I was working during the day, and then I would like paint at night. And then, you know, it's just in a few months, I finished 30 paintings or something. And yeah.
And so what'd you do with those? Do you still have them, or did you display them somewhere? You sell them? What did you do with them?
I've had a few art shows. I was part of the Downtown Art Walk and the Venice Art Crawl. I've sold some paintings. I got commissioned to do 2 paintings. I sold a painting that's in Sardinia, Italy, you know, so it's kind of cool. I had to ship the painting over there and everything. But I missed it. It was one of my favorite paintings, and I miss it. So I'm not selling the originals at the moment. I'm just only selling reproductions right now. if anyone was really interested. But yeah, I have about 60 paintings here, and I haven't been showing them lately because I've been just so involved in music and acting.
Well, I have a feeling that you'll certainly get the chance at some point in the near future. And maybe our benefactor Byron over there can commission you to do a picture of Casey as a really smart and angry monster.
Ooh,
Impossible.
cool. That would be so fun.
Like a Frazetta painting, but with my
But with what?
face on the person, but like
Nice.
a Frazetta painting.
Yeah.
Casey.
A panther, yeah. Wow.
So what other, do you have any other acting projects or anything else coming up that you need to plug?
Well, I worked on a TV pilot called Let's Fall Out, based on the Fallout, the video game.
Oh,
And we just filmed that. We were like, you know, it's a post-apocalyptic, we're a group of people in a shelter, post-apocalyptic, and we just filmed the pilot for it. So I don't know what's going to happen with it. I hope it gets picked up because it'll be another show to work on. And I just produced a little short film that I co-wrote that we've been editing now, and I'm not editing, the director's editing. So it's called Kill Switch. And hopefully that one's going to be, I know, we actually named it Kill Switch before. There's something on Netflix, and I saw it, and it was like, there's something called Kill Switch on there. And anyway, so it's not, I didn't copy that title. It's our title first, but.
Well, the way Netflix is buying up stuff from other countries too, it doesn't make it any easier. They're just pulling in stuff from everywhere right now.
Yeah. But yeah, so I have that short film that hopefully we get it out, we finish it, and we can get it out to film festivals and stuff like that, and we'll see. All
right, so here's my last question for you, before we go and talk about really inane, stupid stuff that's not going to be nearly as entertaining as having you on the show. It's a little game I like to call Good, Greed, or Gore.
Oh.
If you were a superhero, would you use your powers for good, for greed, or for gore? You know, like taking out somebody that you hate. What would you do if you had your superpowers?
That's
Good,
so
greed,
tough.
or gore?
Can I pick two?
You absolutely can. There's no rules to this. Other than the fact that I asked the question, you can answer it however you want.
Well, I believe in the good of everything, so definitely have to say good. And gore, of course. Gotta be bad too, right? You know? But I don't know about greed. I'm not greedy, but I definitely can be, you know, a little gory.
Gory and good. I like it. That's a good combination.
Yeah.
What would the superpower be? Did you know what superpower you'd want to have to use for good and gore?
Well, I feel like I can already almost read people's minds, but yeah, reading people's minds, like really reading them.
I'm surprised you stuck around this long with us if you can read minds, especially with Casey, because you probably have, I don't know what he's thinking about, like nuclear apocalypse on the Mars colony. Right now.
No, it's funny you talk about that when I'm getting like this sent to my phone with like people exploding. It's
fun.
See, exactly. If you're reading Casey's mind, there's no telling what you're gonna get.
No, don't even get in there.
With me, it's probably me thinking about why I didn't make a bigger martini at the beginning of the show. Like,
I know, my glass is empty here too.
Same here.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us, Carmen. This was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
And seriously, everybody out there, support Carmen. She's a big part of the show, and we're very happy to have had her on. And thanks for coming by. So we will say adieu, and we will move on with, oh boy, we have a lot of stuff to talk about.
How cool. Well, thank you for having me. It's so fun, and you guys are awesome, and I will check you out some more later.
Please do. Yeah. Tell all of your tell Ricky to come on the show.
I will.
We gotta put Ricky on here. Joey, I live near Reseda. I don't know if I want anybody from Reseda on the show. We'll see.
Hey, we're neighbors. I'm in Sherman Oaks.
See?
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm
North Hollywood.
Encino, Tarzana. I'm like right on the border over here.
Nice.
You're in Florida.
Well, my mail gets sent to North Hollywood. So.
We're neighbors.
People squatting at his place right now that he doesn't know about.
Yeah. No, I know about them, but they pay rent.
So strange. All right, thank you so much, Carmen.
Thank
for being
you.
here. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That was Lucha Underground's Carmen Perez, aka Captain Hotness, aka Captain Vasquez, when you get the name right, which I had a lot of trouble
Sergeant
for
Perez.
a long time. Or Sergeant Hotness now, I guess, is fair game.
Captain
Okay,
Captain
so
Hotness,
Justin,
Sergeant
you remember
Perez.
Councilman Sexy's name then?
Renegade. Okay, guys.
Ooh, we got a little bit to talk about.
A couple, three things. I know a few people are probably watching and have been waiting.
For Face Off, fuck yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I kind of want to go there. We got some Lucha Underground, AAA, The Crash
No one
stuff
wants
to
to hear
talk
about
about.
that shit. Come on. Who watches wrestling?
Kenny Omega, maybe. Do this with my fingers a lot.
I don't
Kenny
know.
Omega.
I don't trust him. He has hair like Byron.
Paul
the thing about
Sip
Kenny Omega is he did the same thing this year that he did last year. Is he
Yeah.
gonna
Wait,
go?
you're already talking about the things. We're just talking about the things that we're gonna talk about. The things.
Yeah, dude.
Listen, Lucha Underground is not going to get canceled, you guys. All right, let me tell you why.
Hey,
Why?
you know what's not getting canceled? Because
Netflix,
it just started its first episode of 11 seasons.
Blue Demon Jr.'s
Face Off.
telenovela.
Face Off.
I do. All right, let's talk about Face Off first.
Fuck
Casey.
yeah.
I do want to talk about Face Off. Look, guys, we will talk about the Lucha Underground thing. I'm going to
It's a
get to
great
it
TV
very,
show.
very,
It's on Netflix.
I don't know, guys.
very
I'm getting a little
quickly,
tired.
but-
I don't think I can talk about Lucha, but Face Off, yeah.
Face Off. And the reason why we're talking about this, if you don't know the premise of the show, it's basically a makeup artist show. Like if you're a fan of the stuff that Rick Baker has done, or any of the great visual effects artists of our day, and in this day and age, it's not a lost art, but it's an enhanced art.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really kind of cool to see people under this contest, principle, have to go in and really make practical makeup effects still, which is basically what the show is. It's a little Top Chef-ish in formula, but it's awesome. So I haven't really watched a whole lot of the past few seasons, but Casey was like, dude, we got to watch this show. It's pretty sweet. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot.
Hey,
and
for the listeners who don't know, like, this is the kind of thing, like, you can see the Christopher Lee Dracula poster behind me. This is the kind of thing that's up my alley. Oh.
Can't see it.
So this year is all stars from previous seasons, which is cool too, especially for me getting back into it. I don't have to see any scrubs. Like all of these people actually kind of know what they're doing. The opening segment, they're on a hill with a helicopter, and I'm feeling all EV dub about this, Casey. What's going on with the setup at the beginning of the show?
They kind of like do big entrances for Mackenzie Westmore every once in a while, and this is a pretty big one. They got a helicopter
Probst entrance. Like you come in on a helicopter, that's Probst all the way, man. That's like Survivor. That's like network level shit.
I think that you attributed it to the wrong Van Wagenen right now.
Well, true, but I mean, EV Dubs, Celebrity Apprentice, get to the Joppa and all the helicopter shots and Lucha. That's kind of what I was thinking. But yes,
when you got
his brother's better at it.
Yeah, you got to get
Tiger.
But man, they start things quick off on the show because it's not about the drama between the contestants. It's like purely about the competition, really. Unless they're
but Sig and George got a pretty big package right off the start. I mean, they were kind of made out in the opening package like they were the front runners in this thing. Dude,
in my heart, they pretty much are. Like my two favorite teams are Sig and George and team what's it called? Is it Merwolf that we're calling it? Team Blue Hair. I think they call it Team Merwolf.
Yeah, they had like 3 or 4 weird names. Yes, but I think that's correct.
Half of the features on the teams were the teams arguing about what their name was. So I think they're Merwolf. I think that's on Twitter, and that's a thing. And they're like
remembers Team Love. That's not hard to remember.
Yeah. They eat at Porto's. I saw them once. But just saying, shout out to Burbank. But that's what's
weird
hashtag cool about having worked at Halloween Town in Burbank and going to all the conventions, especially Monster Palooza, which was in Burbank. Now it's in Pasadena. is you see these guys at all the cons, so you know which ones are really like hardcore about the shit and really into it because you see them there all the time and talk to them. And so the teams I picked are the ones that are legit and that are at like every con too, you know? Like, you know, they're out here doing things.
Right. So, and that's the cool thing also about an all-star season. This first challenge is to do an alien mask or costume, like a full alien thing, and create a new alien based on an animal or creature. Most of them seemed aquatic related.
Yeah, they were all aquatic related. Yeah.
So you have to take this original idea, turn it into an alien, and the twist here, because they threatened us with lots of twists this season, even though this didn't seem too twisty right off the bat, but the cool thing about this, which I've never done before, is you are allowed and have to incorporate green screening into this costume.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah,
like
especially if you're doing an alien.
Yeah.
Like Two-Face and
like
Batman.
An anti-CGI show having to use some green screen stuff is always fun too.
But I love that they still have to do this practical effect with incorporating the green screening stuff. So what did you think kind of about the challenge? And then we'll get into what the teams kind of were coming up with.
I liked the challenge idea. It seemed like something that was a little rough for your first challenge, but these are all-stars, so they can handle it. They usually do something a little easier to get the guys going, and then like the first person that's eliminated, you're like, oh shit, you couldn't handle that, you know?
Yeah,
but we didn't even get eliminated.
The elimination in this one's even different. Like they're not eliminating every week. They're doing every other week. But one week you win immunity, Survivor style, and then the next week is the elimination challenge. But I like this because and I like this maybe for other shows besides this too, that you're eliminating every 2 weeks. So especially with these guys, because they have an actual talent, they have like an actual skill, and anything can go wrong that can derail one project. But if you do 2 real projects, you can see if somebody was derailed by nonsense and then is able to string it back together with something cool the following week.
Yeah, and what's kind of cool is we're still a little ambiguous with how the eliminations are going to work until next week. Like if it's going to be a whole team that's eliminated, and if they're going to have the judges.
It was whole teams, and that's part of why they were doing it every 2 weeks, so they still run the same amount.
That would make sense. And they haven't talked about the judges' amnesty. They had a thing where you can actually save people in previous seasons. That's kind of a newer thing that's just been the last few. And that's kind of weird. Because,
but the immunity kind of, I mean, one team's already got immunity too. So, but let's get into the actual, like, so they sit down on these park benches and they start designing. And I got to just say, what is it? Ben and what's the other guy's name?
Oh, fuck. Guy with the beard.
And Evan? Is it Ben and
Evan?
Evan?
Sounds right. Yeah.
I think it's Ben and Evan. So,
yeah.
I got to say right off the bat, their sketch even to me was like, what the shit is this tripod thing that they're doing?
Yeah, and then like you look at Sig and George, and they had the same kind of idea, but even from the get-go we're executing it a million times better, like the same kind of shape almost, but
even their sketch was more on point to me. I just thought it was funny because it was like at the very beginning of the whole thing, I was like, I don't know if I like that, but you know, I don't know these guys, so maybe they'll pull something crazy out. And then like 5 minutes later on the show, they're sculpting clay onto the front of their figure to do their mold. And of course, the cameraman doesn't get the shot, but because you can't be everywhere at once. But the whole thing just falls over and splats, and they got to start over on their clay mold. So on day one, they're already, I don't know, hours behind everybody else at that point.
Yeah. And Team Love had a little problem with their mold breaking.
They couldn't get there. Yeah, I mean that, like, this is real world shit, y'all. I was just like,
dude, like, I don't know if you've ever tried making a mold, but it's fucking hard, man. Like that is one of the main sources for catastrophes on the show too, from all seasons. But I have never seen someone's piece just completely fall over and crush itself. Like that's fucked up.
Yeah, that was bad. But I mean, they had like 70 pounds of clay on the front of a mannequin. You got to imagine it's going to get a little front heavy, right?
Yeah, it wasn't very
somebody
balanced.
Put a foot on it, put a weight on the back, something.
Get some sandbags for these guys, you know. But
and I am still trying to figure out, and maybe you can tell me because you've probably seen these guys before. Nico and Kat.
Mm-hmm.
Do I love them or hate them? Like, if I felt like Nico was very funny to me at first because he was trying to hump Kat's leg a lot or whatever he was doing. I mean, he just seemed very affectionate with her, and he's kind of fun and silly and having fun. But I was like, I don't know if this guy is super focused on like the task. She seems to be busting her butt, and I didn't know what was up with him. Like, what is your take on them?
They were on the same season together before, and I thought she was pretty good in the beginning, but she got eliminated before he did. And when he was there by himself, I felt like there were like 4 weeks he should have been kicked off, that he just really lucked out that one person sucked more than him that week. Like somebody made like a catastrophic mistake.
But on a reality show, that could be gold.
Yeah.
Like he could be the guy that I end up wanting to see every week. And I'm kind of waiting to see that because I don't know him yet. But as a character, I was like, okay, either I'm totally digging this guy or I want to see him eliminated like tomorrow.
No, and it's like, it's just his work that kind of seemed bad. Like he seems like a really nice guy, and it could just, and I've seen like their work as a team online and it's really good. So it's like, maybe he just wasn't doing too good competition wise because of all the weird time constraints and weird twists they throw at you and shit like that, you know, which could send you over the edge, I'm sure.
All right. So I do want to talk some wrestling. I want to get back to some wrestling. So let's kind of get to the end of this thing. We talked about Ben and Evan. They did a spider crab thing, and it came out horrible. It has these big, gimpy, crazy leg tubes, and clearly they were in the bottom.
Time to paint it, so it was like the parts that were white were just raw latex, unpainted.
And the mask was actually not bad, like the headpiece, but it didn't seem to match anything else. It wasn't in the same color scheme. It didn't seem like it was integrated at all. The green screen effect was really minimal. It was just like cutting out the bottom half of the actor so that the big legs were in there. Like there was nothing to it.
Man, when they say we're doing like 5 days worth of work in last looks, they weren't kidding. And last looks is an hour. That's like all they get in that room.
Yeah. And and a lot of people stepped it up in that time. What were the ones I liked? I liked Rachel and Gage. I thought that was really cool. And they did like this shrimp crazy floating thing, but they like painted green screen stuff in and did like a lot of translucent stuff. That was super cool.
Yeah, she had like translucent claws, which were really cool. Neville liked the design a lot because he's really into realistic, like kind of actual anatomical design looking like it might work. That's like a big thing with him, so he loved that one.
Yeah, I mean there was a couple, and there was a lot in the middle of the pack that I wanted to hear more about, but they were just kind of like, yeah, you didn't suck, and they just went away.
That's usually how it happens. Like Sig and George were middle of the pack, and but
their headpiece was awesome. That headpiece was great.
I felt like they were at least third place, but when you're only picking 2 top looks, you're fucked. You know?
I also felt like the judges feel like those guys are going to turn in something that is so over the top spectacular at some point that they're going to want to focus on them then. So it was more like, okay, you guys did great. Just move along and we'll get to you. Like, we're going to have 2 whole episodes that end up being all about how awesome you are. So go away.
Yeah. And it's like, Sig's awesome to watch on the show. You want him on there as much as possible because he actually explains what he's doing while he's doing it. Like he knows he's on a TV show. Like he's like, hey, so I'm doing this big blood and guts thing that's going to be covered in blood. So I'm going to paint it bubblegum pink so that the blood pops. Everyone thinks I'm weird, but this is how I do it. He does it. It looks fucking awesome when he's done. Whenever I do like a wound or something for Halloween, bubblegum pink under the blood now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How was Nico and Kat's final thing? I don't even really know if I remember because they kind of fell in the middle of the pack too, didn't they?
Yeah, they were middle of the pack. The ones that, like, I pretty much picked the ones that would be the top 2. I definitely picked the ones that would be the bottom 2. that jellyfish thing.
Yeah. Yeah, was the other one, which just had issues because the green screen.
It looked
thing
like Lumpy Space Princess from Adventure Time, actually.
Yeah,
like big time.
I agree, but I did think the spider crab was worse. And then what? Yeah. Kaylin and Melissa won with the floating butterfly thing, but I had a little bit of an issue with that. I loved the headpiece. I loved the idea of this was this all-encompassing, weird, ethereal kind of alien creature. But then the pieces that they had on the model's hands and arms that were just kind of floating there seemed too symmetrical. And I get what they were going for, but it's like you want to see those pieces actually orbiting. And it was like the concept was almost too high for the practical effect. And to me, lost a little bit. Whereas the shrimp costume that had the translucency to it, I thought was better. I thought that should have been the winner. Like, I agree that
overall, I did enjoy that one more, but I see why they picked Kaylin and Ashley's because it had legit, like when they said it was one of the best paint jobs they've ever seen on the show, like they weren't kidding. That was fucking amazing. And the light work, which they usually shit on when people include lights, but they're like, oh, this looks amazing. We love it with the eyes lighting up and shit.
Right, which was a very cool effect. I mean, there's a time and a place for an extra touch. Like if you go outside the box, you got to do it the right way when it matters.
And see, now they have immunity, right? And that's when teams really go outside the box and do crazy shit, because if they take a risk and it doesn't pay off, it doesn't matter because they're not going home. And that's
right.
That's how most people approach it anyway. Is the chat room shitting on the face-off talk?
No, I'm shitting on Byron. Where did Byron go? I'm going to start talking about stuff that Byron wants to talk about.
Okay, yeah, let's start talking about wrestling.
I'm going to quickly talk about WWE. I feel it's my duty. We're going into Royal Rumble this weekend, Case. The Rumble, this used to be a very, very exciting time of year. Are you excited for this year?
Not fucking at all. No. I haven't watched WWE since fucking goddamn, dude. I don't even remember the last time I watched it. I know it sucked, and it was a pay-per-view, and it sucked.
Byron, come back. You have to save this WWE.
Byron probably knows which one I watched last, actually. I totally don't remember. It had like one of the
Roadblock
1,000
or something.
Yeah, it might have been named after a G.I. Joe character of some sort. Yeah. I mean, like,
well, look,
Roadblock is a great G.I. Joe character, not a great pay-per-view.
To catch you up, Jericho are champions of the U.S. and of the universe, because those two things are the same spectrum these days. And then Shark Cage, blah, blah, blah. Jericho banned in the Shark Cage, KO for the title, whatever. We you feel like it's all just some big setup for Mania at this point. Like, that obviously this feud's going to turn bad. They've been so entertaining, though. Like, if you haven't been watching, KO and Jericho are really good on TV. They deserve to be at the top of the card. They're definitely entertaining. They're dynamic going back and forth, and they're stretching the shit out of this story. I mean, every time you think they're about to fall apart and they're super mad at each other, they're all hugs and kisses the next week. So,
did I ever tell you how I used to hate Kevin Owens when he was Kevin Steen? Like, before I ever really saw him work?
Yeah.
Because I thought he looked too much like a cross between DJ from Roseanne and Fred Flintstone, so I couldn't get into him. But then I saw him work, and then I saw him work in person, and I'm like, this guy's fucking awesome. He just told so many annoying fans to go fuck themselves that I love this guy.
Oh yeah, I mean he'll semi shoot on a fool all day long, and it's
legit.
So.
If you need a dude to play Fred Flintstone, fucking Kevin Owens, WWE films, you're welcome.
Where did Byron quit? What happened to Byron?
He might have. He said something about blowing a white rapper from the 90s. I don't know.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
I believe that. That sounds like something that he might be into. Hey, I don't judge, man.
Nah, we don't judge. We still love you, Byron.
Fine. Fuck Byron. I'll come back to this since Byron, because I know what Byron's going to say, and he's going to come back to this anyway. So, you know what it means I have to talk about as I flip the page right to the front.
Shimmer.
Chael.
Dude, I tried watching this fight at work, and Spike TV left all the fucking commercials in, and I couldn't fast forward.
Oh, that is the worst. Oh, I hate that.
Oh, but I did see that, the fight.
See, that's the kind of thing that makes a brother want to illegally download some stuff, man.
I gotta say, Derek versus Derek was the shit, though. My money was on Derek, but then Derek kind of pulled it off, and I was surprised. There needed to be a "Let's go, Derek. Derek sucks."
Derek, let's go, Derek. Derek sucks. Love it.
Yeah, they could learn from the Lucha Temple crowd from that one.
I'm going to tell you what fight sucked was Halek Gracie versus Who Gives a Fuck, and Halek Gracie lost.
Yeah.
Halek Gracie, didn't even look like he knew the rules of MMA. This is not Submission Underground, bro. This is I know it's only Bellator, but dude, it's still a freaking MMA fight. Throw a punch. He danced around and walked around like a zombie for 3 rounds, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, bro, I know jiu-jitsu. I'm gonna throw some shit now. A minute left in the last round. What? Oh,
as someone who grew up kind of idolizing the Gracies, they should be more careful who they give the name to. Just make them work under a pseudonym until they win a few fights or something.
Yeah, but when you're born with a name like Halek, they've run out of things to do with R's at that point that sound like H's. And then but whatever, he sucks. And then Simtex versus Brennan Ward. You don't have to do much to watch this fight, Case. Just go on YouTube and search it, because all you're going to need to see is Simtex throws this knee up in Ward's face and puts him into pieces.
Yeah,
it's amazing. And both of these guys are ballers, and everything up until that fight was this shit could still go either way, but everyone was expecting a big KO. I was expecting it to come from some hands. I was not expecting this knee, and it was perfect.
I do gotta remind some of our listeners, some of you may be new, some of you may watch Bellator, and said, why is this Semtex dude in fucking Bellator of all places when he's this awesome? Well,
he made some missteps back in the day publicly and
towards Josh Koscheck, and he tried to attack Josh Koscheck after the bell.
It was a bit street. It was very street, let's say. It looked like an old Kimbo video.
Yeah, and it's funny to see a guy that is more British sounding than Meatloaf get all street like that too. But shout out to Meatloaf.
Hey man, they got hoods in England. They got some serious hoods in England. And Paul is clearly from one of them, or all of them. I don't know. He's rough. But yeah, Simtex flying knee, awesome. Okay, so Chael. Dear Lord, Chael Sonnen versus Tito Ortiz. So how many things can I say about this minute and 30 seconds that anyone needs to know or care about? First of all, since when is Tito the people's champ? What happened to the Huntington Beach Bad Boys?
What happened to the fucking Rock?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's one people's champ, and it's the Rock. And not that he could get into an MMA cage. I guess if Tito wants a name, he could beat Rock up and take it, but until that happens, leave the shit alone, man. You're not the people's champ. You're the Huntington Beach Bad
Take that giant head of his, shine it up real nice, turn that some bitch sideways and stick it straight up his candy ass.
Yeah. Now everybody I was going to talk about this last week, but then we had EB Dub on and he talked a little bit about Tito, so I just kind of left it alone. My notes from last week said that Tito was going to come in bigger and stronger, and that if he got Chael down on the ground, it could be ugly for Chael. But I was still going to pick Chael. I'm not going to lie. I was going to pick Chael. I thought Chael was going to go in there, be smart, outclass him a little bit. I didn't think we were going to get Rashad Evans Chael. I thought we were going to get Chael from Anderson 1, where he was really playing a smart game. And I thought the layoff, the 3-year layoff, would actually help that fact. I thought that it would make him scared enough to want to be smart in there and not go in and try to prove a point. And I thought that was actually going to win him the fight with technique, even though he's clearly the smaller guy. he's not even that big for middleweight. Like Anderson, even as a middleweight, is twice Chael's size.
Right, yeah.
Tito is a large 205. So I knew that there was I knew that there was a size mismatch. I knew this was a little bit of a freak show fight. Not like this, though. So everyone's asking, is this fight a work? And my answer is yes. Do I think the fight was fixed? No, I don't think the fight was fixed, but I do think the fight was a bit of a work. I think that Chael probably knew that he wasn't going to win, and Chael himself, about other fighters, has correctly said when a fighter is talking a certain way before a fight, you have to look at that and know that something is amiss because they're already coming up with that story for what happens if they're going to lose.
It's 100% accurate, and it has happened in UFC millions of times.
Yes, and so last week, even, Chael himself was talking about how, his wife was telling him when he was coming home complaining about how sore he was, that it's always like this, and Chael was talking about how he didn't remember it always being like this, and he's getting old now, and he's off the TRT, and his body doesn't feel the same way training anymore. Like, he was already saying the excuses. However, what he was also doing was talking a mean game. And he didn't do that before Rashad. Before Rashad, he was kind of like, yeah, whatever, this is fun. We're both commentators on UFC, on Fox, and this, that, and the other thing. And he was playing nice. And then Rashad pieced him up. Even with John Jones, he didn't talk the same kind of shit with John Jones. He knew he was going to lose to John Jones. He knew it was a wing and a prayer to go in there. And he had a different kind of speech. With Tito, he's talking about, like, this was my dad's wish to see me beat Tito. I beat this dude in wrestling. This dude's a bitch. Like, you're calling out Jenna Jameson stuff. Like, Tito was humiliated by Chael Sonnen. And Chael won that part of the fight. But anyway.
Yeah, he was pretty fucking hilarious. Yeah.
So I don't think this was a fixed fight. I don't think that Scott Coker was in on this. I don't think that Tito Ortiz was even in on this. I think that Chael just didn't feel like he had a good shot. And because of that, Chael was doing a bit of a work here. Chael is looking at himself like, look, I get paid to sell fights, not necessarily win fights.
Justin, we missed something because Byron fucking sucks and he's still in the fucking chat room and not talking to us, it looks like. But Meatloaf wanted to know our best Tom Savini film effects, which I say The Burning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I say The Burning or Friday the 13th Part 4.
I was going to say Friday the 13th stuff, but why The Burning?
Oh, dude, The Burning's dope. It's got this scene where, like, kids are on the raft and the guy fucking Cropsy comes out of the water with the hedge clippers and starts cutting off people's fingers and shit. It's fucking awesome. And it looks great. That's my favorite Savini work. And he also wants to know favorite Harryhausen film, which... Dude, Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans. I saw Clash of the Titans in the theater on the first and second run of it in the theater combined, I think 32 times. My mother to this day hates that film because once it went to the Dollar Theater, I seriously made her take me 5 weekends in a row to the Dollar Theater to see Clash of the Titans again. She was like, I hate that owl. I hate Perseus. I hate Pegasus. I hate all of these people. Like, I hate Greek mythology. I made my mother hate Greek mythology seeing that movie. But the remake, it's so good.
I never saw it.
It's not worth ever seeing. It's so bad. Of every remake ever made, it might be the biggest disappointment of any remake I've ever seen.
I have to send you the Colobus mask that Trick or Treat Studio does.
Oh.
Because you will want to be Colobus for Halloween. I'm so sure
I will.
But, oh, man. Yeah, so there you go, Meef. I hope you are still here.
Sorry we took so long to answer that because Byron normally is monitoring that shit. So the Chael being a work thing and the fixes in. Like, look, I don't know what was up with the Tito tap. There was this weird little moment where it looked like Tito might be tapping to Chael right off the bat. They had a couple exchanges. Chael kind of, got the better of their grappling exchange. Then we get into the second grappling exchange. Chael looks like, obviously, he does not want to get grounded and pounded. And I think at that point, Chael is saying to himself, like, really don't want to get hit in the face a whole bunch. Like, I already feel like shit. I'm probably going to lose now. This isn't good for me, but I don't want to lose. Like, I've made Tito mad. I've said some bad things about him. The guy is clearly angry and angrier than me and wants it more than me. I'm going to lose. I don't want to lose by getting punched in the face a lot. You know, there's no way a guy like Chael wants to tap to strikes, because that is the biggest bitch move in MMA. He's never going to do that. So I think he gave up his back. I think at that point in time, he was like, I'd rather try this way and see if I can outlast a choke or get out of a choke. He turns his back into him, gives him his back, and Tito, being sloppy and way past his MMA prime, can't even get under Chael's chin. I don't know what this thing is. Some kind of modified half crank thing, pretending to be a rear naked choke. But nonetheless, Chael's turning purple. So like go back and watch it, guys. If you think it's a total work, like, if you're gonna work somebody, you don't do it in a way where you have to turn purple to do it. But at the same time, it is a little bit of a work. Like, Chael's not back to win fights, people. Chael is back to sell fights, and
which he's good at. He's great at it.
And I'll still watch him do it. Like, I'm still just as interested in a Wanderlei Silva fight for Chael, every bit as much as if he had beaten Tito. But I wasn't looking for Tito or Chael to go on some big run. And I think even people like Ariel Helwani, like, I don't know what they wanted or expected. Like, did you not think this was a freak show fight? Like, Tito Ortiz is old as crap. Chael Sonnen's coming off a 3-year suspension for TRT. And it's his first fight back. Like, what are these people expecting? Like, this wasn't supposed to be the glory days of MMA. This isn't like two guys in their prime fighting at their best. This is two guys over the hill that are going to knock around each other a little bit to pop a number, which I'm fine with.
Do you imagine the hilarious shit talk that he's going to have for Wanderlei Silva?
Amazing. Like, it's going to be amazing. And everyone who's like, oh, I think I'm not as interested in Chael now after he lost this fight, you're wrong.
You know how many Joker jokes this guy probably has for Wanderlei Silva's face? Like,
oh my God. I just hope he calls him Chris Cyborg the whole time. It'd be amazing.
Oh, I would send him $5 American if he did it.
If Chael gets out there and he's like, look, Cyborg, I don't want to fight a girl. I don't understand. And like, he's saying that to Wanderlei the whole time. Like, I just don't think it's fair for me to be fighting. If he does that, I'll pay him $20 out of my own pocket.
Yeah, I will do 5. I won't go that high, but I will also watch the fight.
So I don't know if you know the rest of this stuff, Casey, or not, but I'm going to tell you that wasn't even the worst of Chael Sonnen's week. Chael Sonnen's week just gets worse and worse. So then he loses on
The Apprentice.
He got kicked off.
God damn it.
And in the worst possible way, he got kicked off for cheating. He got kicked off of The Apprentice the same way he got kicked out of the UFC. Now, he did it on purpose, he says. He cut the cable of the computer to get more time for them to finish designing their Harry Potter project. Freaking amazing. Like, and he's owning it the whole time. He's just like, yeah, you know, I saw that there was a technicality in the rule book that basically said if you're having technical difficulties, the producers have to give you more time. I looked at Carson and he said, you know, God, we need more time. We're not going to get this thing finished. So I came up with this scheme to cut the cable and, you know, get us more time. And he did. So he goes into the boardroom thinking like, I came up with this ingenious way of being a heel and saving the day. And before they even get to the official firing, Schwarzenegger's just like, you're out of here. If you did that, that's cheating. Go. Goodbye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Chael. And it sucks, too, because the episode before that, he started going head-to-head with Lisa Leslie, and I just despise her on the show. And I wanted to see her and Chael as like the two heels just go at each other for a while.
How can you not reward such wonderful heel tactics? We need Eric back on the show. God damn it.
Well, I mean, and he almost got Lisa Leslie out of there, but then Vince Neil had won like $700,000 for his charity the week before, and he was just done. And he was the third person called back in the first of the 2 episodes. So Vince Neil basically just fell on his sword and was like, yeah, send me home. Like, he had already raised more money for his charity than the whole rest of the season's going to raise. So
I don't think that's really Vince Neil anyway, dude. I think that's cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch grown up and just pretending to be Vince Neil.
Yeah, Vince Neil is on a different level of. I mean, he's going the Johnny Hendricks route, man. He's put on a few pounds. Just saying.
Yeah. He kind of looks like an Oompa Loompa a little bit.
So you would think, okay, so Chael's lost to Tito, and he's lost on The Apprentice. You would think his week wouldn't get any worse, but then he announces himself at Submission Underground as a replacement for Hector Lombard against Gary Tonin, which is a terrible fight for Chael, by the way. He was going to lose that fight. Gary Tonin is like a leg lock specialist, and I think bigger than Chael even. And, again, Chael's this guy who's 3 years rusty. But, it's his own promotion. He wants a big marquee fight. He's a big name that is still active, so he's going to put himself in there to keep this, fight, this grappling match. I shouldn't say fight. But Bellator is like, the hell you are? Which I guess is good because it means they probably have some good stuff coming up for him. But Bellator basically, even though you can have an MMA contract and still do submission grappling and not, bust up your contract, I think Bellator was like, dude, you can't do that. We need you right now. Plus, I don't think they wanted him losing again for a third time in a week.
Yeah.
Basically. So Chael basically got pulled by his other promoter from his own fight as a promoter. And it's just like the craziest week. But again, Chael says he's got 6 fights on the contract. I think he only has to technically do 3 of them. If the next fight is Vanderlei Silva, I don't care what anyone says. It's going to totally pop a number. I don't care if this was a complete work and a fix. Him and Vanderlei is still going to pop a number. And then if Fedor loses to Mitrione, I think that Fedor and Chael, Fedor's fighting Mitrione coming up soon in Bellator.
Yeah, I know, but him losing to Mitrione makes me want to cry.
I think Mitrione's going to beat him, man. I just think Mitrione's hungrier and younger. He may not technically be as good, but he's still in his prime, and Fedor's nowhere close to his prime. And I think a prime MMA fighter with less skills can beat an aging MMA fighter with more skills. It seems to be that way. I mean, your body just can't do the same things. And I think Mitrione's just got more gas in the tank.
Unless you're Pat Barry, just remember that.
I love Pat too. That's my boy.
Yeah, I just love Crow Cops, so I have to talk a little shit. But.
Well, true. Anyway, but so I think that the third fight for Chael should be the last fight for Chael, and it should be against Fedor if Fedor loses. And I know that sounds ridiculous, especially considering the Tito fight, that Fedor's a heavyweight and Chael's basically a middleweight. But I think that would be a fun fight, and it wouldn't matter who won. And I think it would pop a huge number for Bellator, and it would be the big ending for both of those guys. It would be fine for either one of them to lose and go out in a good way. So I don't know. That's just the way I see the whole thing playing out. Anyway, all right. Byron's not coming back, by the way.
Oh, did he message us and say that?
I think he passed out, literally passed out on the floor.
Oh, okay. He remembers to turn on his side so he doesn't choke to death on his own vomit.
All right. I know I was talking a little bit about WWE, so I'm going to kind of finish with where I think some of this stuff's going. The Goldberg promo, first of all, on Raw, hilarious. He botched like 3 times on live TV in his promo before. Yeah, I know you probably heard about the Undertaker thing. Like, Undertaker comes out, and that's all well and good, but first Brock comes out, and Heyman, like, saving Goldberg. And I've actually liked this return of Goldberg, but he was botching so bad. Like, he was laughing.
The old Goldberg promo wise, not that. Yeah.
I mean, he was laughing at himself and looking at the crowd, and then after he finally got himself recomposed, still botching. It was just like, dude, what are you doing? This is horrible. Anyway, so he comes out, and this is in Cleveland, by the way, which is the main reason why I was watching Raw this week. It's like, it's in my hometown. Like, but they got to see Goldberg. They got to see Brock. Brock actually showed up. Heyman hits and cuts the actual real part of the talking of the promo. And then it ends with the Undertaker gongs. And then, Mark standing in the ring with Brock and Bill. And that's it. It was it. That was the end of the show. But I don't know. You're an Undertaker fan. Do anything for you? Do you even care?
I do not even care because they already spit in my face. They didn't just spit in my face. They held me down and diarrheaed in my mouth when they broke the streak. And they can go fuck themselves.
What if this all led to a 3-way match between Undertaker, Brock, and Goldberg at WrestleMania, and Undertaker beats both of them? Would that fix it for you?
Not at all. No, I don't even want to see that match.
Do it. If it's not going to fix it for you, then they shouldn't even bother doing it.
No, it's just going to be Taker versus fucking Braun Strowman anyway. So it's like, okay, as much as we loved his work in Revenge of the Nerds, Braun Strowman does not deserve to be facing the Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Well, and that may or may not happen. Hey, I don't know if you caught this or not. I was going to talk about it last week too, but we didn't have enough time. Mickie James is in fact La Luchadora, but
was she the whole time? Because I don't think she was.
No, I don't think so. I feel like the character got shorter and stronger.
Well, we might
that
see
first
more
week
of that soon, by the way.
But who cares? I mean, like, I don't fault WWE for doing that. Put somebody in there as a placeholder and decide who you want it to be later. That's fine. And it's a little tougher with women because the actual outline of the character is a little more obvious. But whatever. I like Mickie James coming in that way. I thought it was good. They're not really talking about her quick little NXT job to Asuka. And they're just kind of referencing her past history as a women's champion and former Divas champion. And I think these younger women could use Mickie James around. I think it's actually a really good addition, and I think she can work really well. And she's coming in with Alexa. So I think that's good for Alexa. She needs that.
And she's on the same show as Cena and his old lady. That's going to be a little weird.
Yeah, it'll be fine. They'll get through.
Yeah.
And if not, they can all go to Arby's together. They'll be fine.
Yeah. I was gonna do it, but you did it. You know who likes replacing people under masks with different people, Justin?
Dorian?
Yeah. Well, AAA. It was more of his family, but okay. I need to make this part of the show quick because I have to do the teaching thing tomorrow. But I'm a little angry, Justin.
I am too.
Okay, so we
maybe not for the same reasons, but
no.
Let me hear why you're angry, and I'll tell you why I'm angry.
You know the specific thing that was said that pissed me off. So, okay, so basically, Daga, Pentagon Jr., Garza Jr. all quit AAA, showed up on the Crash. Okay, first they were going to be Perros Del Mal. Now they're going to be their own group, joining up with Phoenix. They didn't take
why
Joe
do you think that happened? Do you think that I feel like Pentagon went and asked the family after he did it, and they were kind of like, "Yeah, we'd prefer you didn't do it."
Either that, or he realized if I make my own thing, I don't have to give anyone else the T-shirt money. It's mine, which is a smart business decision to make.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think it was a bad business decision to show up with the Perros gear this time.
No, because
like it was a safe FU to AAA.
And plus, Phoenix was never a member of Perros Del Mal. If he's going to be in the new group, they should do something different. Yeah, so they're out. A lot of people have problems with AAA. A lot of people wonder, is this going to strain their relationship with Lucha Underground? And especially since Dorian's the head of the LLC. Now, I know you feel differently about this than I do. But they legit asked Dorian, will this affect Lucha Underground guys if they're not with AAA anymore? And he said, stand by, we don't know yet. And that answer doesn't sit well with me.
Why doesn't it sit well with you?
Because I feel like if he wanted them in Lucha Underground, he would have said, no, it doesn't. And stand by makes it seem like he's trying to figure out if he can fuck them or not. And
is that what he's trying to figure out, though? Maybe he's trying to figure out if he can look like he's mad at them for all his people in AAA, but actually be fine and happy with them for all of his people north of the border.
See, I don't even know because, Conan's coming out on his show saying shit like Dorian's the one that stopped the boys from selling merch at the temple and shit like that, which I don't know if that's completely accurate. It does serve Conan for people to be pissed at Lucha Underground. Because Conan came out and said Lucha Underground's going out of business and they're trying to sell the company and all this shit, right? Doesn't matter if it's true or not. It sounds a little weird that this is the first time we're hearing it, but it does serve Conan to... Okay, it serves Conan to trash Lucha Underground a little bit like that to the boys, and it serves AAA to have you're fucked with Lucha Underground if you leave AAA on the table, because AAA does use Lucha Underground to hold leverage over the guys when they treat them like shit and they send them on these horrible tours where they're pissing and shitting in buckets and fucking riding buses for hours. It's like, but hey, you get to go to the States and do Lucha Underground, so suck it up. And it's like everyone gets tired of sucking it up. But I gotta say that if it does jeopardize their thing with Lucha Underground, like Dorian almost has to try to make that happen if he's trying to serve AAA more, because it is their bargaining chip, right? So like,
he's got to shut it down. If he's working more on behalf of AAA right now, he's got to try to shut these dudes down, or else he's the laughing stock, and every wrestler for the next 10 years is going to walk all over him.
Right, and
if he's trying to serve the purposes of AAA the most.
Yeah, and then it's like, so if he's like that, Lucha Underground's kind of fucked. Because, okay, the people that are in jeopardy here, really, that we're talking about are Pentagon, Phoenix, Jack Evans, Sexy Star, but who gives a shit? And a lot of people think they're going to be okay. I say look at Nightclaw, because he wasn't fucking okay.
Yeah, but he also wasn't over in Lucha Underground. Which is a big difference.
But
a big difference to me, and you're not the only person who cited that, and some of the other guys. But at the same time, you know, Phoenix, when you're talking about Phoenix, Pentagon, and Sexy Star, especially, even more than Jack, even more than a guy like Tejano, if he had these issues, like these guys are over and represent a certain amount of money that they could be making. Some of that money is a boat that they're missing with the merchandising for Sexy Star, Phoenix, and Pentagon equally.
Right.
But they are
as much as they don't like Sexy Star can sell some fucking merch if they made Sexy Star merch.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Rey Mysterio, but they could sell some Sexy Star masks and some Sexy Star gear.
And the thing that doesn't sit with me is, yeah, like MGM could probably come on board and say, no, fuck you, these guys are working for us, but do they care enough? And like, I know we had discussed this. And part of me, I don't want to get too spoilery out here. Part of me thinks that they don't care enough because there's someone else that was on their way out that should be taken care of that I don't think was. And if they're gone, anyone's fucking free game at this point.
Well, and that could be the case, but that particular one has been a concern for a long time, and I don't think it's too spoilery to say that we're talking about Ricochet.
Yeah.
Like, nobody knows completely the Ricochet story. Nobody knows if he's staying or going or what. Like, I'm not going to say anything about season 3 other than, look, you saw him get killed off and come back.
Right.
Which I thought was a genius subplot in the first place, because when we saw him get killed off, we're like, oh, well, there goes.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, Puma. Check you later. Like,
we're like, what the fuck is he doing back?
Yeah, if you were going to kill somebody off mid-season, that was the perfect guy to do it, because all the speculation at the time, I mean, I don't even know if the CWC was still going on then or not, but everyone was like, dude, Puma's out of here. WWE's been talking to him, this, that, and the other thing.
It was right before the CWC was about to fucking start.
Exactly. So we thought somehow maybe he got out of it and he was just out. He was just like, Audi 5, y'all, I'm doing this shit. So, and obviously, you know, now that he gets resurrected by Vampiro, he comes back. And his status is still a little up in the air with Lucha Underground, because I believe the way his contract works is these damn episodes have to air before he can, his no compete goes through airings, and maybe even into some of the after it airs. Like, there might be a 3-month after it airs clause.
There supposedly is some time after it airs. Court Bauer talked about it. He basically confirmed that he can't go anywhere plus some time.
So I get that, but you also have to understand that that's because this was a guy who was clearly a star, clearly had paper on him other places like New Japan, and some smaller contracts already. And so when MGM is bringing this guy in to be this character that they created for the very beginning of the show and to be their other superstar to go toe-to-toe with Mundo, they put some good paper on the guy. And it's probably where they came up with half of their contracts for the other guys of, no, if we're going to put this investment in this guy, we have to make sure that he's not going to show up at WWE or on one of these other shows, because MGM might not know a lot about the wrestling business, but they do know a lot about competing television and stars showing up someplace else doing exactly what they're doing here. Now,
and they did structure him separately. Like he has a shorter, he had a 3-season deal instead of a 7-season deal, apparently.
Yeah.
Because this all came up when Cuerno was trying to get out and couldn't.
Yeah, and I don't think that he was the only one. But so basically, once this airs, Puma's deal will be up, and he could choose to resign. I hear that there's a nice offer on the table for him. I personally have the feeling that at this point, with the weird hiatus, that he probably wouldn't trust doing another deal with Lucha Underground at this point, because it's not giving him the exposure he needs.
And he still can't get out again, you know? Like,
yeah, and I would imagine that even if he did stay with Lucha, he'd probably want to lose the mask at this point. I would say that it would be smarter for his career to not necessarily be a masked character with his popularity and his Ricochet incarnation elsewhere, that he needs to be able to parlay his whole career into one stable thing.
I don't think
but who knows? I mean, yeah, I don't know. Well, dude, if he said he would stay, but he wanted to lose the mask, I think they'd do it.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah.
If he would sign another 3 years and stay without the mask, I would do it if I were them. There's lots of fun angles you could write for that. DJ would probably have a field day writing some stuff to do that. But anyway, that's beside the. Plus, he could do a mask match, which they haven't really done a big one in Lucha Underground since the whatever thing that they did the first season.
Superfly, who had already lost his mask in Mexico.
Right. Which would be kind of the same with Ricochet losing his mask. I mean, it's not like we don't know what the dude looks like. He's not even partially unknown.
Yeah, but they're going to have to explain why he's not Hispanic after saying he was for like 5 seasons. Or, well, 3 seasons.
Even with Puma, the other thing you got to do, and this is what I'm going to say about all of this, is follow the money. What is Puma going to do when he leaves? He's got only one option. He's already killing it in Japan. He's already killing it all over Europe. He doesn't need Ring of Honor. He's killing it in Lucha Underground. There is only one thing better for Puma. That is WWE. And if he's going there, I hope they're saying the right stuff to him. Follow the money. And if he's not following the money, like, look, Lucha Underground might still be a better option for him, just personally. You know, maybe it's not all.
They're going to push him. You know,
yeah, they're going to push him. He's going to be able to appreciate himself, to keep himself on a level that he wants to be at in that promotion. But again, that doesn't mean it's necessarily right. But does he want to show up at WWE and all of a sudden be on NXT?
Yeah.
Like, does he want to be in the Live 205? Like, he's got to ask himself seriously what they're going to do with him at WWE. And is he just going to be working to the bone and not getting over? But then again, at the same time, he's a relatively young guy, and it might still be the time for him to go and just try it out and just see what it's like.
Plus, you know, he lives in Florida. Dude's a dad. You know,
yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff, but like, he's talented. He could go. Like, if there's an offer, he could go wherever he wants, and I'm sure there's an offer if he's entertaining it. But like, you know, he's top shelf as far as high flyers in the world go. So it's like.
And he's getting paid. Guys. I mean, like, his appearance fee is fine from what I've heard. Like, it's not.
Oh
like
yeah, he's making money in Japan. Like, get taken care of in New Japan too.
He's getting taken care of in England.
Yeah,
and I'm sure his Lucha contract is not terrible. I'm sure the new one would be much better than the first one.
It's like as far as high flyers in the world go, I would go okay. You know, he'd be in my top 5 probably. Because there was a time where I would say 4 of my top 5 were in Lucha Underground at the same time. So you had him, you had Flamita as Nightclaw, you had Aerostar, and you had Jack Evans, you know. And Rey Mysterio always gets honorable mention, even though he doesn't do as much anymore. But
of course, I mean he's a little past it, but in a good way, in the right way.
I mean, Neville's the best guy they have on WWE right now, and hopefully he's gonna win the Cruiser title soon and actually like make it mean something, because he's great. He's someone that I was always saying that they should have signed, and when they did, I was surprised they used them because they fuck up everything. But it's good to see him as a heel too. And, you know, like I don't watch a lot of WWE, but I'll look up and see what Neville's doing every once in a while because Pac was the shit.
Yeah.
And it's like Kalisto's on that list too, but they're not using him to his potential either, you know.
Well, exactly. So it's just like, you know, you got to follow the money, and what's the money? What's the power? What's the big move for Puma? But so, and with Flamita, I got to say this, like, unfortunately for him, he could have had a chance in Lucha Underground. He didn't get enough of a push there first. Then he has these issues in Mexico, whether they're his fault or not, doesn't matter. But then Dorian can go to the other people sitting in the room for Lucha Underground and say, yeah, this guy's been trouble in Mexico. Let's not use him.
Yeah.
And that argument goes somewhere. But if Dorian comes into the room and says, you know, Pentagon and Phoenix, you know, and Sexy Star have been a problem in Mexico, let's not use them. The guys at MGM, especially, not even El Rey so much, but the guys at MGM are going to be like, whatever, we're going to make good TV and money off of these guys, and we already have. You can't tell us now that the people you brought us are somehow pieces of crap. And you can't tell us that 5 out of the 10 people that you've brought us are crap, because all you're doing is telling us that you are crap. If you're bringing us these guys and you're now telling us to take them off of the show that you brought them to. Dorian brought us these people.
Something I always worried about is that he'll probably get a hissy fit and try to pull everyone from AAA from the show. But you got to remember, AAA, like Meatloaf said in our chat just now, they actively tried to destroy Phoenix's career and force him into retirement when he left the company by trademarking.
That's AAA as a whole. Dorian can walk into a room. Any one of the people running AAA can walk into a room with each other and say, let's fuck these guys over. But if you're Dorian Roldan and you walk into an executive producers meeting for Lucha Underground as they're trying to plan this next season, and you say, yeah, I want to pull 5 of our stars that I gave you off of our show, how stupid does he sound? And this is what I want everyone to think about, that no one is thinking about. Everyone's like, oh, Dorian's going to screw these guys. Dorian's going to screw these guys. That's fine. Dorian very well may want to screw the royal hell out of these guys. But ask yourself, does Dorian want to screw himself? He's the general manager of the LLC. At the end of the day, it will cost him money if this product sucks, if this product goes away. And I'm not saying that he doesn't want to screw these guys over. And I'm not saying that for the sake of AAA that he shouldn't, because as a boss, these guys have now taken it to him. And he's in the worst position possible of walking the line between AAA and Lucha Underground and this LLC thing. It's like, how does he not look like an idiot? And Eric Van Wagenen and Robert Rodriguez and Skip and all these guys who are also executive producers on that show along with him. There's 12 of them, I believe. And to the guys in his, he's got to justify the guys in the LLC that just made him general manager. Hey, I can make us money with this property. And it has nothing to do with AAA. Those guys don't care. They just want to know, are you going to make us money? And if Dorian says, yeah, the way I'm going to make you money is by taking away 5 of our top stars from this intellectual property, he looks like an asshole. He looks like an idiot doing that. And people...
Honestly, though, he's been looking like an asshole a lot lately.
He might be. He is the problem, and he is the solution.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also like he has power in AAA, but he doesn't, because everyone goes over his head for his, they go to Maricela instead, and they go to Joaquin instead. That's how like guys like La Parca keep winning tournaments and shit like that, right?
And maybe he doesn't care. I don't know. I mean, the guys who have worked and dealt with him can tell me, can tell us how much he may or may not even care about the AAA product. What if he's just like, that's the old timers product. I'm the next generation. I want to prove that I can do something bigger north of the border. So AAA be damned.
That's a what if, but what if he looks at Lucha Underground as a side project and he's like, if this gets fucked, I can just go back to AAA whenever I want.
And he can right now. And that's the thing. Again, he is both the problem and the solution. A lot of the woes and problems that people have with AAA, Dorian is the person that could solve them in Lucha Underground. But he's got to want to do that. And honestly, I don't think anybody knows that answer to it. And I don't think Conan knows either. I love Conan. I love his show. I love what he has to say. I love that he speaks his mind. I love that he's stealing these guys, taking them to the crash and giving them another outlet. But at the same time, he might be screwing all of us over doing it. But I also think that there's certain things that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like what he said something about Netflix buying Lucha Underground.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, let me tell you, that's not possible. The Netflix thing, I probably understand better than a lot of people. Like I've had stock in Netflix since where they first became a mail order DVD company. Mm-hmm. I understand this company. I research it constantly. I understand their business model better than most people in TV, and I understand what they do, how they do, and why they do it. I will say this. I don't know officially what their interest in Lucha Underground is, but I believe that they have some. I believe that once they greenlit the Glow show that they're doing, that Marty Elias has been part of, that the way that Netflix buys stuff is when they buy up a property, especially when it's something new in a genre or field, they buy other stuff to put with it. Like they did that Baz Luhrmann thing about hip hop. All of a sudden they bought up all these hip hop documentaries. Some of them, by the way, are awesome. And they wanted more early hip hop related stuff so that when you're done watching the one thing, you have all this other material to stream. That's how they do it. They piggyback these shows together. Glow and Lucha Underground together would be a phenomenal tag team. So I have to imagine that they are interested in the product to a certain extent. I also have to imagine that El Rey is trying to figure out how to keep as much Lucha Underground for as long as they can, but at the same time, they may not have the money to throw at it that Netflix does. So they may be looking at, is there a way that we can keep the product and partner with them so that they're getting the product quickly afterwards, but we're still getting it first. They're stupid if they're a network and they're not looking at it that way. Even the CW just did that deal with Netflix, where now 8 days after their shows are finished airing for the season, Netflix can put it up. Netflix can put up The Flash in May or June, the whole season, almost right after it airs. That's huge for them.
When I saw that, I'm like, I'm going to wait to watch Riverdale. This is what I'm going to do.
Well, and this is what, and so it costs the network a little bit, but at the same time, they get a big chunk of cash from Netflix that keeps the shows afloat. And it's good for the shows because guess what? Netflix doesn't want 1 or 2 seasons of it. They want people to be able to binge 5 or 6 seasons of it. They got 33 million subscribers or more. It's a lot of content that they want to provide.
I mean, what is this now? Like a $17 billion company or something like that we're talking about here?
It's not, you can't even put a price tag on it, I don't think. I mean, it has a valuation, but the way it's growing and it's changing the entire business to the point where now everyone else has to adapt to them. So people don't understand what they're talking about when they talk about Netflix. A lot of times they don't get it. I guarantee you that everyone involved, including MGM, is trying to figure out something from Netflix, but they're not going to buy the entire property. They may buy out one part of it, or they may take a little bit of everyone's part, but what they're interested in is airing rights, and they will put money behind it, but they don't need to own the product. Production companies own products. And guess who the production company is here, people? The production company is MGM. This is the company that bought up half of Las Vegas with Japanese, money and Chinese money and money from all over the place. People think that AAA is a player. No, MGM's a player. People think that Dorian Roldan's a player. No, MGM and Netflix are players. People think that Robert Rodriguez is a player. He's a movie director with a fledgling network, and I love it, and I love him. He's not the big player. MGM, Netflix, those are the big players. And if people can't follow the money, they shouldn't talk about big deals. If you can't understand how corporations work and big money moves around and what ad dollars and revenue really is about, then they shouldn't be talking about this. Wrestling fans, I consider myself a wrestling fan, but I am in the TV business and I've studied this my whole life and my whole career. It's on a different level. And yes, there could be some huge casualties of this, and those people on the corporate level may not see them. They may not understand that Pentagon is a big portion of the product. Mm-hmm. You might never watch again. They might lose, 700,000 fans overnight if they get rid of Pentagon, and they may not understand that. But they might do that anyway, because the way that they look at it is these guys came out of obscurity 3 years ago anyway. Can't we just bring some other guys out of obscurity now? And guess what? They might be right. They might be able to create still another great show. They'll still have great writers. DJ's not going to go anywhere. If they offer him a check to do more, but don't give him Pentagon and Phoenix to do it with, do you think he's still going to try to write the best stuff ever that he could write? Absolutely.
No,
he's not afraid of money.
They barely use Pentagon anyway. He's written off every season for like.
Well, and where's Pentagon right now? Last time we saw him, he got beat up by 4 girls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, as much as we all love him, he is
girls,
not
Justin.
the only thing.
Dash has a badge, remember. Dash has a badge.
But I mean, you just have to look at it realistically too. Like, major TV shows lose stars. Sometimes they revamp whole things with new people in major roles, and you're just like, what the hell is this? And sometimes it completely fails. Sometimes it's like, yeah, we don't want to see Scott Bakula in a Star Trek show. And sometimes it's like, oh yeah, why not? Sometimes these things work out great. How long was ER on? By the 12th season of ER, was any one doctor from season 1 still on that show?
No.
I mean, George Clooney wasn't on there anymore. By then, you didn't even remember that guy was a TV actor.
Maybe Noah Wyle, but maybe not.
No, Noah Wyle was the librarian or something by then.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, seriously, and that's what I'm saying. Like, they're not thinking about it on that level. It's good for El Rey because they can use it as flagship programming where they can get a lot of episodes in a season. They can piggyback other stuff off of it, but they haven't even been doing that yet. They have this show that is getting some eyeballs and getting fans and getting a slightly lower demographic than closer to what they were expecting in the first place than what they actually got, but they're barely able to use it right now.
Yeah, it's like, hey guys, just put the show back on because you tried this shit with Cutting Crew. Piggybacking shows off of Lucha Underground, and that didn't really work out so great for the haircut show. So how about giving them wrestling?
So they gotta find stuff. Like we've all said that they should have an after show. It's like you got a popular show, Walking Dead it, man. Put on Temple Talk, like we've all been talking about. Put J-Man and Urban and us on there. We'll do Temple Talk for you. We'll give you an extra hour of super duper cheap programming.
And the 5 of us will cost less than Chris Hardwick by himself.
Yeah, and what's the drop-off going to be? You put on an episode of Lucha Underground, you show the rerun, then you show Temple Talk, or you put Temple Talk on for a half an hour. You keep your fans around for cheap for another half an hour and sell some more commercials. I mean, that's why other networks are doing this stuff. Hopefully El Rey gets on the ball with some of that stuff. Or you put on, some weird sci-fi comic book-esque show right after Lucha Underground. You want a lower, younger male demographic? There's ways to do it. Comic Book Men airs after Walking Dead, for Christ's sakes. Like, there's ways to do it. So what I'm still saying, though, is follow the money. So for El Rey, the money's in the ad dollars and promoting other programs, because what they need to do is increase the ad buy rates across the board. And to do that, what they need to do is anchor a few solid shows in there and then try to carry those numbers into other quarter hours after those shows with other programming. That's how television works when you're in a commercial model. Or El Rey itself needs to do licensing deals like what they did with Dusk Till Dawn for Netflix and other stuff that helps recoup some of the costs of making it. It lets them plan ahead. So like, okay, if we get this amount of money from Netflix, we can do this many shows, but then they got to sell big ad buys for it while it's on their network too, to really cash in. I don't know if they did that with Dusk Till Dawn this season, which might be why that show's kind of on hiatus now. Because it went to Netflix, I don't know, 2 weeks after
it aired.
Yeah, I mean, it was. And so then now, are you watching it on Netflix with no commercials, or are you watching it on El Rey and paying them basically by watching their commercials?
Not only no commercials, but uncensored.
Yeah.
Like, You gotta watch it at the right time on El Rey to get it uncensored.
Well,
Yeah.
I watched it on demand with the commercials on Sling.
Mm-hmm.
But that would they had the uncut version. They had both. You could watch the 8 p.m. version, which had the cuts, and you could watch the 10 p.m. version that didn't. You just had to know which folder it was in. But but then I also went back and watched season 1 and 2 on Netflix. Anyway, my whole point is this. I believe the Netflix deal is in the works. I think it's actually going to happen. I think it's part of why everything is on hold. I think it is unspecified whether the show with new episodes will come back to El Rey Network. I believe from the way that Eric Van Wagner was speaking on this show last week, and that he wants to create a stable partnership with El Rey, that the plan is right now for El Rey to still get the first run of Lucha Underground. But I believe sometime in the next couple months, there will be an announcement that Lucha Underground will be on Netflix. I believe that Dorian has balls, isn't happy with these guys, but there's only so much he can do north of the border. I think that these guys have contracts. I think that from everything I have heard, those contracts are not in jeopardy. He may screw them over, and Dorian has other ways to screw these guys over. It doesn't just mean taking them off the show. Mm-hmm. As the leader of the LLC, which controls the intellectual property, they may have airtight TV contracts that keep them on Lucha Underground for years, but he could probably cut them out of T-shirt sales. He can probably cut them out of touring if they do that. I mean, you heard this week that the LLC is the branch of this whole monster that they want to take care of those things. But I think when people relate it back to the TV show, there's 12 executive producers on this show. These guys have already signed contracts. We know for a fact that Lucha Underground itself as a TV show is not worried about things like Sexy Star and Phoenix. They didn't seem worried when those things happened. They don't seem any more worried now that it's Pentagon. Mm-hmm. So that says to me that their contracts on their end with their talent as TV characters here in the States are fine. That's what that says to me. I could be wrong. I haven't read anybody's contract. I haven't heard legal from El Rey or MGM saying any of this stuff. But from what I've heard from very credible people on that side, there's no worry whatsoever about these people with their television contracts. Again, that does not mean that Dorian can't screw them, but the ways that he can screw them are touring, are merchandise, are bookings down in Mexico, the whole cohesive idea that they had in the first place of everyone working hand in hand to basically go back and forth from AAA and come up here and do this other stuff. That's what's not working. It's not all coming together. The AAA talent especially has become an issue. They've had work visa issues. They've had, just like the whole Flamita story where he's in it with AAA before he really even gets up here and gets established. Then you've got Sexy Star wanting to box and really being kind of done wrestling in general and just wanting to be a TV star now. I was watching her first season stuff. Like, she was so much better in the first season in general. She's just getting to the point now where like I even saw a match where she's running the ropes and everything for the first season. Like, she was not what she is right now at all. But I've seen her live where she just looks like she's blown up gas and right out of the gate. And that doesn't say to me that she's a bad wrestler. That says to me that she's over this shit.
I think it's both, but
maybe that's just an opinion. And again, but she's a huge star up here. They made her a huge star, and they can do what they want with it. And it doesn't sound like her contract as a TV star for Lucha Underground is in jeopardy, or Phoenix, or Pentagon, or Jack. I don't know how all this plays out from here. I really don't. But I gotta say this. People, if you want real answers, stop thinking about your favorite wrestlers and start thinking about who stands to gain the most money and from what. Because that's what you really have to look at. Like, just like when Meatloaf was on here talking about what WWE just did in the UK, they're going over there, they're shutting down performers from showing up here, there, and the other place, but that's because it's money to them. It's big money. They're going to let Progress have a taste now, but they're letting Progress have a taste so that they can control the territory, and they will decide if they want to make the money or if they want to continue letting these guys make the money. And I believe that MGM and Netflix will be the same at the end of the day with this. They're not Vince McMahon. They don't have a wrestling sensibility. They're going to completely come at it from a business and TV standpoint. But that's a big game, people. That is a big, big game. And these dudes are going to play it hard, and they're going to play it real. And that's real money. That is not one wrestler's contract for 2 to 4 years. I love the boys in the back. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see anything bad happen to any of them, but you guys got to be realistic about this stuff too. Like losing even 4 or 5 guys is not what's going to make or break Lucha Underground. MGM deciding whether or not they want to stay in business with El Rey, whether they want to stay in business with Dorian, whether or not they want to sell viewing rights to the show to Netflix. That is the stuff that is going to make or break Lucha Underground. And I hope that it makes Lucha Underground, and I hope that Pentagon's around for it, because if Pentagon leaves, it is going to suck. No two ways about it. But why would he leave? What is he going to do if he really, really leaves? Is Conan going to get as big a TV deal as Lucha Underground or bigger?
No, you know what's funny is he compared it to the Promo Azteca thing. He shouldn't have done that because that was a huge failure. But not that I say that the Crash will be, because they put on some cool shit, and they've got a lot of my favorite guys there right now.
Yeah, but, and they can instantly be right up there with Evolve and PWG and Ring of Honor. They could be there. But I'm here to tell you, any one of these companies that gets the real Netflix deal is instantly number 2.
Right.
Is instantly a credible alternative to WWE. They win the number 2 game immediately.
And part of a gets a Netflix deal. It is worth multiple times what WWE is worth. So really, are they number 2 at that point? They're part of something much bigger.
Yeah, well,
I mean, as a wrestling promotion.
Yeah, but to be number 1, you have to have the wrestling and television sense that Vince McMahon has. And that now I see Triple H starting to have. Maybe they can't write the best storylines in the world, but they still have better marketing overall for a wrestling product. They know how to control their product. They know how to control the top talent. Because I'm also here to tell you too, as much as we all hate on WWE, those guys that are there are still by and large better than a lot of these other talents that are on the indies.
What I want to know, Justin, is where is my movie with Pentagon Jr. as a surfing penguin, huh?
Oh, man, that needs to happen tomorrow. I don't know. I've ranted on it enough. Follow the money, people. Follow the money. That's all I can tell you. Like, hit me on Twitter. I will go back and forth with you guys all day about it. I'm
fucking busy.
I'm not saying that there's not some bleak and strange things going on, but I am saying that the majority of people out there do not truly understand what is at play or how or why, because this situation is not being run like a wrestling company. It just isn't. These contracts are with MGM, the intellectual properties with the LLC, the merchandise is over here and there. It's not like any of these other companies. It's nothing like it. Nothing. And even the people involved don't completely get all of it and may never. All they can hope is that there is, at the end of the day, a viable outlet for talent to go and work, get great storylines, get over on a cool show that sticks around for a long time. That's all anybody can hope for at this point in time. And I'm hoping for it because it is 10 million times cooler than the WWE product.
Yeah.
IWGP, the New Japan stuff has its moments, but is it super solid all year round? No, don't kid yourself. It's super cool. Progress, Rev Pro, super awesome. Is it like that all year round? No, because the best guys come and go, and half of them are in Japan or other places. Ring of Honor, is it like that all the time? No. Half the top of the roster is guys who left TNA. Is TNA there? Hell no. Even though you got stars like Lashley and EC3 and the Hardys, the overall production isn't quite there yet. The crowds are dead at Universal or whatever they're doing. They need to not shoot there anymore. They have some issues even with the new company coming in. Evolve, yeah, but everyone's in and out, and it's it's like junior NXT.
Yeah, they're the best company now,
It's super cool, but at the same time, it's super smarky and, on the fringe, and it's not there yet. Like, dude, there is not a great number 2 option. AAA obviously isn't. CMLL is okay, but there's still, weird issues there too. I mean, and I didn't even get to talk about Fantastica.
Yeah.
Other time,
I didn't get to talk about DDT Universe either, but go sign up, everyone. It's free until the end of February. They don't even take any credit card information. They just sign up and you fucking watch shit. DDTUniverse.com.
So I'm sorry I wasn't in the chat room with my new audio setup and the weird stuff going on. I didn't want to risk crashing my whole computer like the last couple of weeks. So I apologize if we're missing awesome questions. I will check in on them.
I think they're saying Byron owns slaves. Like, I don't even know what's happening anymore.
I believe that's true. Speaking of slavery, can I end with one more rant?
Sure.
Can I talk about the T Wood thing? The Tyron Woodley playing the race card thing?
Oh, okay. Yeah. You're good.
I got to talk about the Tyron Woodley thing. It's crazy to me. Like, I don't even know where to start with this. So Tyron Woodley is saying he's got these issues. And I believe him. Like the issues are legit. And people just don't know. Like, I deal with racism in my industry a lot. Like, I produce car build shows sometimes. Do you think that they want to hire a black dude to go out and hang out with a bunch of hillbillies stuffing nitro into their cars and burning down the road? And it's not even that the talent or the guys out there building the cars are the ones that that have an issue with me. Producers here in LA will look at me and be like, I don't want to send that guy out there because they might have an issue. And it's this other form of racism. It's this implied racism. And I have heard things like, you're well-spoken. What the fuck does that mean? Yeah, I speak. I'm smart. Who's not well-spoken? People who weren't afforded the same opportunities and education in life. And I get these forms of racism. And this is kind of what Tyron, I think, was talking about. He doesn't want to tell you specifics, because to tell you specifics is going to out somebody that isn't necessarily some evil person. They're just a person who's gotten it wrong, and they don't understand what some of this race stuff means. So being biracial myself, I walk into rooms and we talked about with Carmen earlier, sometimes it's like, I'm not black enough for black folks, and I'm certainly not white enough for white folks. But when I get accepted is when all of a sudden I'm in these situations and I assimilate to what their expectation is. So if I go into a room with black folks and I speak a certain way and I exude a certain thing, and I see light-skinned dudes like me or mixed dudes all the time trying way too hard.
It's pretty good Key and Peele skit on it, actually.
Yeah, because it gets them accepted in the room, and it's true. I've also been in rooms where I've heard, because they don't even see me as black, they don't even think I'm black because of how I speak and the people that I'm around. I had a sheriff of a county back in Ohio come in and actually use the N-word in front of me.
Oh shit.
And he was saying, yeah, it was about this club promotion thing, and he was trying to shut down the black promotion night, and he came in and he was like, y'all gonna stop doing goddamn nigger night over there. And it was like, but it wasn't directed at me, and I could tell he wasn't even looking at me like I was black. And I was just like, and people don't get it. This is the way it really, really is. And all Tyron Woodley is saying is, if you think as a black champion in the UFC who isn't, as eloquent on the microphone as some other guys, who isn't, who is black, if you think that he isn't getting treated slightly differently, you're wrong. And it's not necessarily anyone's fault. But dude, the sport was bred on Chuck Liddell and Matt Hughes, and it was good for the sport. It was a good thing. It brought white folks back to combat sports, and there is nothing wrong with that. It is good that they had some hillbilly heroes, as I like to call them. There's nothing wrong with that, because dude, brothers and Latinos took over boxing, and every now and then there was a great white hope.
Oh, like Jerry Cooney. Oh,
yeah,
shit.
I mean, come on. You remember how hyped up people were on Tommy Gunn Morrison? Come on. Like, whatever. Like, and the Klitschko's were European, and people were still like, ooh, them white boys can fight. But MMA brought a level playing field. But at the same time, I've seen it in the MMA world too. It is a little bit of a white boys club. and it doesn't have the same respect for, minority fighters. And people will cite some of the Brazilian guys, but the Brazilians don't count because they started the shit. Mm-hmm. Even Anderson Silva being black and Brazilian, they don't count. They really don't. But the African-American fighters in the UFC take shit. And we know that African-American wrestlers take shit. How much racism has been in the wrestling business forever? When has anyone been the heavyweight champion that was African-American for any sustained period of time? The Rock is probably the best example, and
because Ron Simmons didn't have the belt for that long.
Yeah, I mean, look, like the New Day thing was great, but at the same time, they also play a very semi-stereotypical role to a certain point.
And plus, they held the titles just because Demolition had a lawsuit against Vince. Like they wanted to beat the record because of that.
Yeah, I mean, and I get it. So, but at the same time, like people are saying that Tyron is race baiting or that there isn't actual issues. I'm saying, of course there are. Don't kid yourself. And I'm not some idiot that believes all people should be treated equally. Fuck that. But here's the thing. Guess who deserves to not be treated equally? A guy who is a world champion in the UFC, maybe. Like maybe he deserves a little bit better treatment than, some bum on the street. I'm saying I treat people differently all the time, but I don't do it based on race, creed, or color. I do it based on accomplishment, intelligence, ability, kind-heartedness.
Barry Byron all the time on this show.
Yeah, and I'm here to tell you, Tyron Woodley is a champion of the world in a sport that is very difficult. How many people, if you look at a cross-section of the world, have been a champion of anything, let alone the toughest fighting promotion in the world? Give the guy some respect. I don't care if he loses the next fight.
His fucking record? Jesus.
Yeah. And I take him at his word too. I don't think he's the kind of guy that cares enough to make it up.
No,
I've heard people say that he's not smart enough to make it up. He's smart enough to make it up if he wanted to, but he doesn't care enough about that.
Gain from it anyway. He's already fucking champion. Like there's nothing to gain from saying this other than exposing fucked up shit that he's coming up against.
And he is coming up against it, and I commend him for how he's doing it and the way that he's saying these things and not pointing out specific people or trying to point fingers. Everyone wants examples, and Ariel Helwani was trying to put it to him to give him examples and whatnot. I don't believe that's the right way. I think that this is the way you do it. You say, people, I need you to believe me. I'm a world champion. I have credibility. I'm a black man that struggled to get here. And he's been around racism. He lives in Ferguson, for Christ's sakes. I mean, come on. And he's been around wrestling too, which is definitely a very white-driven country boy kind of sport where there's certainly lots of racism. I've seen it in the wrestling rooms. I've been a part of it on that end too. It happens, people. Please do not discount the man when he says that he has experienced this firsthand on his way to the title and that he wants to get some respect. He is not trying to change everybody's mind. He's not trying to say that racism shouldn't exist or that people need to stop being racist, this, and the other thing. What he's trying to say is, as a champion, can we now give him respect? Even if he's the bad guy, give him good dressing rooms. Don't tell him things like he's well-spoken. Don't call him Tyrone.
Oh, God. All the time. Still, he's fucking champion. They're still calling him Tyrone.
Even Todd Duffy at the beginning of the broadcast, it's Todd Duffy's first freaking week, made a joke about it at the beginning of the broadcast. And to a world champion that could slap your head off. I mean, and I know where he was trying to go. He was just trying to be lighthearted and whatever, but it rubbed me the wrong way immediately. It's like, I'm an MMA fan. I thought his name was weird the first time I heard it. And then when the first time I heard him say it correctly, I knew the man's name.
Yeah.
It wasn't
all
too
I think
hard.
Of is it sounds like he could be on Game of Thrones anyway at this point, And
don't get me wrong. People mess up people's names all the time, but I can even say Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah.
Like her name's crazy, but you heard it 20 times now. She's
and when you say people, you mean J-Man. Let's yeah.
But at the same time, J-Man's also not a broadcaster paid by that company on that event to tout those champions.
Right? Yeah. And sure, fuck a lot of people paid by the show are fucking up Tyron's name. Come on.
And I would say that if somebody actually cut J-Man a check, you would hear him enunciate some shit very correctly if they told him to. J-Man would love to get a check.
I heard that if you pay him, he actually talks like William Regal the whole time. It's amazing.
I believe that he does. Anyway, so that's like my triple rant. My triple rant for the day. Follow the money. Don't pretend that there's no such thing as racism in the world. And that's it. And be nice to each other, people. Thanks to Carmen for coming up. Yeah, for real. Thanks to Carmen for coming on the show. Thanks to Lucha Gringo for showing up sick as a dog. Thanks to Byron for showing up in the middle of the night when it's like he's been wrecking houses with Vanilla Ice all day. And thanks to you. Thanks to you for sticking through this long. Because if you are still here at the very end of the show, you, my friend, are awesome.
Or you just have no fucking life whatsoever.
We have a million more things that we could have talked about, but guess what? We're not going anywhere. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, I'm working on a couple of guests. We'll see if they can make it. There's a few people that are totally want to be on the show, but they're actually booked all the time on Thursday nights. So I don't want to announce it. But it's good reason. We're like not getting people for good reasons. Like talent is booked on Thursday nights. That's good for them, y'all.
Yeah.
It just happens to be the night we're also doing the show. So
I'm working on Marty Jannetty to come on the show.
Sweet. I hadn't tried to get Ricky Reyes on the show, but I think he'd be great to have on the show. And
yes.
Hopefully I tried to get Marty Elias to come on back a while ago, but he was filming Glow at the time. So I'm going to try Marty again, especially now that we're in the off season. So Marty, if you're listening to this, come on the show, brother. We talked about doing this a while ago, and there's some amazing stuff that I know we would talk about with him. And
I fucking love that guy too, dude. If you talk to him for like 2 minutes, you're like, this guy's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's got a great perspective on the business from the best seat in the house, inside the ring. So hopefully we'll get him on. And again, Carmen was great. Evie Dub made fun of us because we never have any beautiful women on the show. So now he can eat it. Because we have
EVW makes fun of us for everything.
And rightfully so. All right, Casey, brother, get out of here. You got to go do your thing tomorrow. I got to do my thing.
Yes.
So until next time, stay calm and stay in the mix.